Chapter 198. Ouyang Qian, Li Dan, and several members of their high school reunion chose Jiangnan University. Jiangnan University was also one of the top 5 universities in the country. It was only a little worse than Imperial University and Hua Nation University. Ouyang Qian and Li Dan also heard about such a big movement in Jiangnan, so they bragged in the group. After hesitating for a while, Cheng Lingsu contacted her former good friend, Ouyang Qian, who was now a passerby. When she was in high school, Cheng Lingsu's family was the best. The Cheng clan was very popular in Jiang City, and it steadily suppressed Ouyang Qian's family and Li Dan's family. The two girls would also be subconsciously inferior to Cheng Lingsu psychologically. Hello, is this Qian Qian? I'm Susu. Of course, Ouyang Qian was not qualified to attend this Shi's party. Not to mention her, even her family was far from qualified. It's you. Ouyang Qian's voice was a little surprised and a little unpleasant. Why are you looking for me? Don't tell me you want to borrow money from me. My college expenses have been quite high recently, and I don't have much spare money. When poor students came to her door, their first reaction was to borrow money. Cheng Lingsu thought of Ouyang Qian's disdain for poor students in the past, and she couldn't help but feel a little disgusted. It turned out that she was such a hateful person. It was ridiculous that she had been classmates with her for 3 years, but she actually despised her. She said calmly, "I'm not looking for you to borrow money." When Ouyang Qian heard that it was not to borrow money, she said, "Then why are you looking for me?" Cheng Lingsu said, "I want to attend the Shi's manor party you mentioned. I don't know if you can help me get an invitation. One is enough." "What?" Ouyang Qian shouted. "Cheng Lingsu, you really dare to ask? I'm not qualified to go in. Not to mention me, even my father is not qualified. You want to participate?" Cheng Lingsu said. "Can't you get an invitation?" She really had no choice. She wanted to prove to Jiang Xiu and Lin Yueling that she was not useless and could do something for the Jiang family. This desire was very strong, but she was still young and still on campus. She had almost no connections. She only had a few good classmates in high school. For example, Ouyang Qian, who had already become a passerby. Ouyang also tried her best to get an invitation letter, but it was really difficult to get one. This time, the proud prince's visit to Jiangnan was of such a high level that even the Cheng family did not have the right to do so. Only the most powerful people in Jiangnan had the right to do so. How was she supposed to deal with such a high level? But if she said that she couldn't get an invitation, Ouyang Qian felt a little ashamed. After all, in the 3 years of high school, she was inferior to Cheng Lingsu in all aspects. She unconsciously put herself in the role of the little sister. This was a normal mentality. Now that there was a chance to turn over a new leaf, she naturally didn't want to miss it. Usually, the little brother would humiliate the former big brother. That was because he felt that he had been wronged before and wanted to take back what he lost. "Well, where are you? If you can't come over, I'll help you." Cheng Lingsu said. "Okay, I'm in a taxi now. I'll come to you." Ouyang Qian said. "Okay, I'm in Manor number 2 by the West Lake. We're holding a small banquet here. Hehe, you also need an invitation, but you can just say my name." Others held a big banquet, but they held a small one. The people who attended were all second-generation figures. It could be regarded as forming their own group contacts and accumulating capital for their future entrepreneurship. After hanging up the phone, Li Dan next to her asked, "Who was it? Why did you talk for so long?" Ouyang Qian said with a smile. "Cheng Lingsu." Li Dan said, "That poor girl. How can she have the face to come to you? Don't tell me she still wants to work with us. Her Cheng family is bankrupt. Why would she come to us?" Ouyang Qian said, "She came to me to ask for an invitation to the banquet in Westlake Manor." "What?" Li Dan cried out involuntarily. Her reaction was exactly the same as when Ouyang Qian received the phone call. "She's crazy. Is that a place where she can go? She really dares to ask. We can't get in even if we sharpen our heads. What virtue does she have?" Ouyang Qian rolled her eyes and raised an evil smile. "I've tricked her here. When the time comes, I'll let her make a fool of herself." "You mean?" Li Dan understood tacitly, and her entire person became excited. Of course, Manor number 2 was not as good as Westlake Manor. One was like a knockoff, and the other was the original. They couldn't be compared at all. But even if Manor number 2 was a knockoff, it was a knockoff of the highest grade. Located in the west corner, the environment was elegant, and the service inside was also very complete. More importantly, it was next to Westlake Manor. It was the first time for the taxi driver who sent Chung Ling-soo here. Usually, people who came to this kind of place had their own private cars, and they would be embarrassed if their cars were too bad. When getting out of the car, the driver couldn't help but look at Chung Ling-soo a few more times. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also a young lady from a rich family. When she walked in, she was stopped by the security guard. "Miss, show me your invitation." Chung Ling-soo said, "I'm invited by Miss Ouyang Qian. My name is Chung Ling-soo." After the security guard confirmed with the inside, he let her go. Manor number 2 was next to Westlake Manor. You could even clearly hear the pleasant sound of a violin coming from there. If you stood at a high place, you could even see the bright lights and people walking inside. Some young masters even looked inside with binoculars. This kind of peeping behavior was not shameful at all. Instead, it made you feel good. With a glance, you felt as if you were participating in it. Susu, Ouyang Qian, and Li Dan greeted her very politely. Beside them, there were several young and rich men. After entering Jiangnan, the men who gathered here were not only men from small places like Jiang City, but also all of Jiangnan and even many talents from other provinces. They were dazzled by Jiangnan. Lin Shu, their high school classmate, was also among them. As for Yi Wenchen, who used to be a famous person among them, he also left the circle because he failed the college entrance examination, and his father lost his official position. It was said that he went to repeat his studies. Qian Dan. Ouyang Qian looked up and down at Chung Ling-soo. They hadn't seen each other for several months. She was still as pure as before, but she was more attractive. They were beginning to enter the most beautiful age of women. "No way you came dressed like this?" Chung Ling-soo was wearing an elegant white long-sleeved shirt, jeans, and a pair of canvas shoes. She was dressed like this for the banquet? She must be out for an outing. "I'm on time. I didn't bring any clothes." Chung Ling-soo didn't care about these things. "Qian, can you really get an invitation?" Ouyang Qian said. "Of course, I already got one." "Really?" Chung Ling-soo was overjoyed. The banquet seemed to have started. She didn't know what kind of predicament Jiang Xiu was facing now, but she heard that the proud prince and his forces, as well as the entire Jiangnan power, wanted to destroy Mr. Jiang. He must be under a lot of pressure to face so many enemies alone. She knew that she couldn't help, but she hoped that she could stand behind him at this time, and let him know that she supported him spiritually. "Quick, give it to me," Ouyang Qian said. "Hey, what's the hurry?" She waved the invitation in her hand and put it back into her bag. "Don't you know our rules?" Chung Ling-soo frowned and said, "Qian, don't play. I really have something important to do. You helped me today, and I'll remember this favor. I'll definitely pay you back in the future." "Pay me back?" Ouyang Qian laughed. Li Dan on the side also laughed as if she had heard something very funny. "Susu, what are you going to pay me back with? Do you still think that you're the second daughter of the Chung family? Your family is bankrupt. Wake up." Chung Ling-soo's pretty face turned pale. It was really embarrassing to be ridiculed in public. What made her feel even more heartbroken was that the person who said this was her best friend of 3 years. "Give it to me. I'll definitely pay you back." Li Dan giggled and said, "Susu, you still haven't woken up. You still think that your family has billions of assets. You're not even a salaried worker now. What do you think we need your help with? Or rather, what can you help us with?" Chung Ling-soo said. "Then what do you want?" Let's play. Let's drink a bottle of beer first." This beer was not to be drunk directly. After shaking it, she put it under the boy's crotch and poured it out with a straw. Then she leaned over to drink it. It looked like the boy was doing it. It was very disgusting. The girl's image was ruined in an instant. If the beer was pixelated, then it would really be. Get the camera ready. This was a little too much. They wanted to completely destroy Chung Ling-soo's image of a beautiful girl. Chapter 199. Cheng Lingsu's pretty face was slightly pale. Looking at Ouyang Qian and Li Dan in front of her, she felt so unfamiliar. If there was a gap between them and they couldn't play together, then they could just go their separate ways. There was no need to hurt each other like this. After all, they had been friends for 3 years, and they were still in their precious youth. Stop playing, I really have something urgent. It's very important to me. She had a glimmer of hope that they were just pranking her. Play. The smile on Ouyang Qian's face gradually faded and became cold. Cheng Lingsu, do you really think you're still a young lady? Do you think you're still giving orders to us sisters in high school? Do you think we'll listen to whatever you say? Cheng Lingsu said. Qian Xiaodan. How can you say such things? In high school I never bullied you. I cherish our friendship very much and have always treated you as my best sisters. Ouyang Qian laughed involuntarily. Of course you've taken all the good things. We can only play supporting roles for you. Of course you'll be happy. If I had 2 sisters to play supporting roles for me and support me at all times, then I'd be very happy too. I also cherish such friendship. Cheng Lingsu's eyes flashed a trace of pain. So that's what you think. Then why do you? Originally, she wanted to say, since you're so uncomfortable, why do you want to be friends with her? But she didn't say it. She had already thought of the reason. It was because she was the second young lady of the program. She was regarded as a resource by them. The pain in her eyes gradually turned into bitterness. It turned out that greedy and vain people were so annoying. No wonder the elders warned the younger generation to be careful when making friends. Now she finally understood that the elders were using their experience to educate her. She remembered her attitude towards Jiang Xiao. She regretted it more and more and understood why Jiang Xiao hated her so much now. Cheng Lingsu said, I'm begging you. Give me the invitation. Ouyang Qian smiled proudly. Beg? You have to look like you're begging. Kneel down and beg me. Maybe I'll consider giving you the invitation. Cheng Lingsu said. If I kneel down and beg you, will you really give it to me? Kneel. Under everyone's gaze, Cheng Lingsu lowered her noble head. Her knees slowly bent, and she slowly knelt down. It was such a disgrace to kneel down in front of so many people. Ouyang Qian and Li Dan could not believe it, but they were also excited. She really knelt down. In the end, Cheng Lingsu's knees knelt on the green grass. Ha ha ha. Cheng Lingsu, to think that you would kneel down and beg me one day. At this moment, Cheng Lingsu did not feel the slightest shame or anger in her heart. On the contrary, she felt that she had gained a lot by kneeling. This time, she was not kneeling for Ouyang Qian or Li Dan. She was kneeling for the changes she had made and for the fact that she had hurt Jiang Xiao. Jiang Xiao was so powerful. She felt that she didn't have the ability to do anything for Jiang Xiao, but at this moment, she felt that she could. Are you satisfied? Can you give me the invitation now? Ouyang Qian said. Haha, I just said that I would think about it. You have to drink it first. You. Cheng Lingsu looked at her angrily. Why? I can't afford to play. If I can't afford to play, then I won't play. Aben you damn thing. You're so lucky. Li Dan laughed and scolded. Su Su is the #1 pure school belle of Jiangqing Second High School. It's so cool to pick you up. The boy stood on the chair and laughed, holding the beer between his legs. Let's get high. Let's get high. The surrounding people began to jeer. Cheng Lingsu said, Ouyang Qian, don't go too far. Ouyang Qian pretended to be shocked. Wow, are you trying to scare me? Are you going to call your escort, Yi Wenchen, and ask him to teach me a lesson? I advise you to save it. His father has been fired, and now he's living a worse life than anyone else. Drink. Drink. The group of boys at the side began to jeer. In short, if you want the invitation, let's have fun. Ouyang Qian took out the invitation. I'm not drinking. I'd rather tear up this invitation than give it to you. Cheng Lingsu's face turned cold. She finally understood that Ouyang Qian would not give her the invitation, unless she was humiliated today. However, if she did such an embarrassing thing, her reputation and image would be ruined, and it would become a stain in her life. She, Cheng Lingsu, could not care less, but she was not alone now. Don't forget, she now had an identity that shocked Jiang Nan. She was Mr. Jiang's wife in Jiangnan. This would humiliate Mr. Jiang and make Mr. Jiang a laughingstock. Therefore, she could kneel, but she could not be humiliated like this. Cheng Lingsu's beautiful eyes gradually showed a fierce look. Yang Qian, we're classmates. Do you have to be so cruel? I advise you not to go too far. Give me the invitation, and I'll owe you a favor. In the future, I'll make you richer than you are now. Yang Qian shook her head gently and looked helpless. Are you still dreaming? I'm going too far today. To tell you the truth, I'll make Cheng Lingsu lose face today. What can you do to me? Cheng Lingsu stared at Yang Qian and said proudly, Yang Qian, do you think that I, Cheng Lingsu, can be bullied by you just because my family is bankrupt? Let me tell you, you couldn't afford to offend me before, and you can't afford to offend me now. Ha ha ha. Yang Qian burst into laughter. Dan, did you hear that? You've lost your teeth. How dare you say that I can't afford to offend him? He's a bankrupt pauper with nothing. What right do you have? Cheng Lingsu said. Yang Qian, don't forget that we're girls, not men. A girl's life is simple. As long as a man is good, then she has everything. I forgot to tell you one thing. I'm married. Yang Qian and Li Dan looked at each other. Cheng Lingsu's beauty was something that even girls would be envious of, let alone men. They couldn't deny that what she said made sense. However, real rich families prioritize matching families. Cheng Lingsu, who had nothing, could only be a Cinderella, a mistress, or a mistress. She would never be able to make a name for herself. She would have to wait until her next life if she wanted to make a name for herself. Oh, congratulations. Don't you know that you've become a man's plaything? Could it be an old man older than your father? Yang Qian ridiculed. There was another kind of powerful man who would marry such a beautiful pauper, and that was an old man. Cheng Lingsu took a step forward and stared at Yang Qian's face. She said, Yang Qian, listen to me clearly. My husband is Jiang Luoxia. Boom! It stirred up 1,000 waves. There was a sudden commotion. Countless people were whispering. The way they looked at Cheng Lingsu changed. Yang Qian and Li Dan's expressions changed even more. Jiang Luoxia did not need anyone. In Jiangnan, Gu Deji's words did not count in the Jiangnan frontier. However, in the dark, Mr. Jiang's words definitely counted. Who did not know such a formidable person? No, how is this possible? How did you marry Mr. Jiang? That's impossible. Yang Qian said. Cheng Lingsu, don't scare people here. Mr. Jiang is our classmate, and we have interacted with each other before. However, don't forget that we were enemies. How could he marry you? Cheng Lingsu said. Marriage certificate. She took it out and showed it to Yang Qian. In the photo on the marriage certificate, Cheng Lingsu had a faint smile on her face. However, Jiang Xiu, who was beside her, looked like he had nothing to live for. It was obvious that he was unwilling. However, this was indeed Mr. Jiang. Moreover, the name on the certificate was clearly written. Jiang Xiu. Others did not know that Jiang Xiu was Jiang Luoxia, but Yang Qian and Li Dan knew. They were high school classmates. When Jiang Xiu conquered the Wang family, he pushed the head of the Wang family, Wang Xuehai, off the plane and killed the demigod of the Wang family. Ha! Yang Qian and Li Dan only felt their heads buzzing. How is this possible? It's not fair. They looked at Cheng Lingsu and felt that the heavens were playing a joke on them. Since they had caused her family to go bankrupt, they should have made sure that she would never be able to make a comeback. Why did they have to give her to such a powerful man? I want the invitation from my husband. Are you going to give it to me or not? Yang Qian's face turned pale. She did not know what to do. She did not have an invitation. She just took a greeting card. Chapter 200. Yang Qian and Li Dan's faces were pale. They looked at Cheng Lingsu with fear and pleading eyes. They were really looking for trouble. They had offended her just now and forced Cheng Lingsu to kneel down. Now they were being attacked by someone else. Although Cheng Lingsu had her own opinions and would stick to what she had decided on. She was a good girl who grew up in the spring breeze. At most, she would return an eye for an eye. But her husband, Jiang Xiu, was different. He was a cruel and merciless person. He had accumulated his current status through killing. If you angered him, killing you would be like crushing an ant. Ouyang Qian's voice trembled. Su, Cheng Lingsu didn't want to listen to her nonsense. She had seen enough of this person's face. Besides, she didn't have time to waste on her. Give me the invitation, and I can pretend that nothing happened today. Ouyang Qian said. Cheng Lingsu frowned and said. Are you going to give it to me or not? Ouyang Qian summoned up her courage and said with difficulty. I don't have the invitation at all. I lied to you, Su. I didn't mean to. What? Cheng Lingsu's beautiful eyes widened. You don't have the invitation? Her anger finally accumulated to the peak. At this moment, she really wanted to learn from Jiang Xiu and kill this person. She was so hateful. Seeing Cheng Lingsu's chest rise and fall violently, like a volcano that was about to erupt at any time, Ouyang Qian said nervously, Su, spare me. I was just joking with you. Don't tell Mr. Jiang about this. Li Dan's face turned pale, and cold sweat appeared on her forehead. She echoed and said, Yes, Su, we have been good sisters for so many years. You won't tell Mr. Jiang about this, will you? This is a small matter? Cheng Lingsu looked at them coldly and said, It is a small matter in your eyes, but for me it is a big matter. It will decide the life of Cheng Lingsu. Su, don't tell Mr. Jiang. He will kill us. Suddenly, there was a burst of contemptuous laughter from the sidelines. Everyone looked over and saw a young man in his 20s coming over. He was relatively calm. He said, Qian Dan, are you scared by Jiang Luoxia's name? Have you forgotten it? Now Jiangnan has changed. Today's banquet in the West Manor is to deal with Jiang Luoxia. He may not be able to live until tomorrow. Ouyang Qian and Li Dan's eyes lit up. Yes, how could they forget this? They were afraid of Jiang Xiu because they witnessed the scene of Jiang Xiu pushing Wang Xuehai off the plane. It was too cruel and unforgettable. When it came to Jiang Xiu, they felt fear in their bones. Li Ming, you are right. Now Jiang Luoxia can't even protect himself. The man named Li Ming said. She wants the invitation and we don't know what she wants to do. We can't do what she wants. In my opinion, since she is Jiang Luoxia's wife, we should catch her and send her to the West Manor for Prince Ao to deal with. Now Jiang Luoxia doesn't dare to show up. With her in our hands, I don't believe that he won't show up. We can be regarded as a great merit, maybe. Yes. Young Master Li is right. The people on the side nodded in agreement, especially the last sentence. Maybe it really made people daydream. Prince Ao's rule in Jiangnan was a foregone conclusion. Anyone who made a contribution would be rewarded according to their merits. Such an opportunity was hard to come by. In one's life, many people became rich by seizing opportunities. In front of them was their opportunity. Someone said, Catch her and hand her over to Crown Prince Ao. Yes, catch him. But another person said, What's the use of catching her? We can't get in and can't give her to Prince Ao. Li Ming smiled proudly and said, It's not difficult. There are several people in the Li family. It's just a matter of a phone call. Li Ming was a member of the Li family in Jiangnan. The head of the family was Li Muting, who stood beside Prince Ao. Li Chengfeng, one of the 4 young masters in Jiangnan, was his cousin. Cheng Lingsu's face was pale. She wanted to help Jiang Xiu, but in the end, she became a burden. Ouyang Qian and Li Dan were excited. They thought they were finished, but things suddenly took a turn. The ups and downs of life were too fast and too exciting. Cheng Lingsu came here because of them. They felt that if they were to be rewarded, they should be the first. Li Ming called Li Muting. Uncle, I have a woman here who wants to get an invitation. She said she is Jiang Luoxia's wife. We have confirmed her identity. She is indeed Jiang Luoxia's wife. Her name is Cheng Lingsu. Li Muting said. Are you sure? Li Ming said. It's true. Li Muting muttered to himself. Keep an eye on him for me. I need to ask Crown Prince Ao. He whispered into Jiang Ao's ear as he explained the situation. Jiang Ao said. Why does the Jiang family need a woman to deal with the enemy? Li Muting said. Then I will ask them to let her go. Ji Yitsong interrupted. Young Master Ao, of course we don't want to make things difficult for a woman, but we can make use of her. 3 days have passed, and Jiang Luoxia hasn't made a single move. I suspect that he doesn't dare to exchange blows with our ancestor, and has shrunk back like a turtle. If it were any other person, it would be fine if they just shrunk back like a coward. But Jiang Luoxia is different. He's a demigod, and with our ancestor present, he naturally wouldn't dare to be impudent. But at the end of the day, our ancestor is much older than him. Jiang Ao's expression changed. Uncle Tsong, what do you mean? Ji Tsong said. For the long term, let's put down our pride and take his wife to force him to fight. Let our ancestor kill him and get rid of this scourge once and for all, so that he won't take revenge in the future. Jiang Ao said. He crippled my cousin Jiang Hang. Just because of this, I can't let him go. He called Li Muting and said, bring that woman here. Li Muting obeyed and left. He felt that his Li family was going to make a big contribution this time. Good luck was unstoppable. He called his son Li Chengfeng and walked out together. Li Chengfeng was one of the 4 young masters of Jiangnan. He was also slapped by Jiang Xiu when he attended the mage conference. Little Ming, bring her here. Many of the second generation wanted to take the opportunity to enter the Shi Manor, but they were all rejected outside. Ouyang Qian and Li Dan argued and wanted to go in no matter what. Cheng Lingsu came because of them. How could they give such a credit to the Li family? In the end, Li Ming had no choice but to bring the 2 girls along. After entering the Shi Manor, Cheng Lingsu was brought to Jiang Ao. Jiang Ao looked up and saw that Cheng Lingsu was a beautiful woman. He had seen many beautiful women, and Cheng Lingsu was definitely first class. He thought to himself that Jiang Luoxia was quite good at finding women. You are Jiang Luoxia's wife? Before Cheng Lingsu spoke, Ouyang Qian and Li Dan had already said, Prince Ao, she is Jiang Luoxia's wife. It's true. We even saw the marriage certificate. Moreover, Jiang Luoxia and her were in the same high school. Jiang Ao glanced at them coldly and said in an indifferent tone, Did I ask you a question? Ouyang Qian and Li Dan trembled in fear and hurriedly closed their mouths. Cheng Lingsu said, So what? At this moment, Cheng Lingsu's feelings were not as stubborn as her words. Her heart had sunk to the bottom, and she was filled with regret. She really shouldn't have asked Ouyang Qian for such an invitation. Now she couldn't help or prove herself. Instead, she had become a hindrance. You are brave, Jiang Ao said. It's a pity that you followed the wrong man. Jiang Luoxia dared to go against the Jiang family in the capital and beat my cousin. The Jiang family will never let it go. He took out his mobile phone and put it on the tea table and pushed it to Cheng Lingsu. Call Jiang Luoxia and ask him to pick you up. Cheng Lingsu didn't say anything. Jiang Ao said, You don't want to? You want to protect him? That's okay. However, there should be such a news in Hangzhou's newspaper tomorrow. Cheng Lingsu, wife of Jiangnan tycoon Jiang Luoxia, is dead on the Shi Lake. Cheng Lingsu's face was pale. I can't get through to him. There was suddenly a commotion at the entrance. Mr. Jiang. Jiang Luoxia is here. Chapter 201. When the voice came from the door, the whole manor suddenly quieted down. Even the music and the wind seemed to stop. That demon finally came. At this moment, everyone's heart suddenly jumped. Those who were sitting in their seats couldn't help but stand up. No matter how powerful they were, no matter how rich they were, no matter how old they were, they all stood up and looked in the direction of the entrance. Cheng Lingsu's head buzzed when she heard the words. She felt that something was wrong. Prince Ao deliberately wanted to deal with you, but you still rushed in. Isn't that throwing yourself into a trap? She even wanted to shout and remind Jiang Xiu to escape quickly, but she didn't shout in the end. She just stared at the door nervously. At the entrance, the crowd parted like a tide. From afar, a silhouette could be seen walking over step by step. Behind him was the pitch-black and boundless night sky. He seemed to have merged with the night sky. With every step he took, it was as if the boundless night was shrouding them. Even breathing became difficult. When that person walked into the field with majestic gait, his figure slowly became clear. At that moment, even their breathing seemed to have stopped. There was no sound. It was as silent as death. Jiang Luoxia came. The person who had trampled half of Jiangnan under his feet, The traitors like the Tang family and the Jin family had been killed until their heads rolled, and their entire families were executed. Not a single person was left alive. A person who was fiercer and more terrifying than any of the previous heroes of Jiangnan had come. Speaking of this person, people felt frightened. Jiang, Mr. Jiang. The whole Shizi manor was facing a formidable enemy. Crown Prince Ao, the Ji family, the Dong family, the Li family, as well as the rich businessmen and noble families from all over Jiangnan, had already formed a powerful alliance. The power of this group of people could overturn the whole of Jiangnan with a stomp of their feet. They could even rival a medium-sized country in Southeast Asia. These people would also be the main structure of Jiangnan in the next 10 years. Prince Ao came with such power. The original big forces of Jiangnan almost didn't dare to resist. It could be said that the whole Jiangnan surrendered. Only a few family heads still supported Jiang Luoxia. There was a big gap between the strong and the weak. Otherwise, why didn't Jiang Luoxia come out for 3 days? Prince Ao has become powerful. He is unrivaled. An old man in the distance shook his head and sighed. If Mr. Jiang showed up to fight back on the first day, the strong forces of Jiangnan wouldn't be so one-sided. It's because Mr. Jiang didn't show up that people speculated that he was afraid of the battle that Prince Ao could suppress Jiangnan. It's not Mr. Jiang's fault, it's Ji Wudao's. It's all too late now. In fact, people didn't have much respect for demigods. The main reason was that war was too far away from modern times. People had almost forgotten what killing was. It wasn't until Mr. Jiang showed up that people realized what a demigod meant. Even Mr. Jiang was afraid of that one from the Ji family. Plus, the Jiang family from the capital was a giant. Jiang Luoxia is still young after all. Since he has endured, he should have endured until the end. Now that he shows up, he will lose everything. Cheng Feng saw Jiang Xiu coming over. He opened his mouth and said, "You." But before he could finish, Jiang Xiu's eyes swept over. He suddenly raised his hand. Under the night light, the air seemed to be distorted. A ripple of power rippled over. When people wanted to take a closer look, there was a sudden burst of screams. Slash. Cheng Feng's head had been chopped off and fell on the grass. Kill, kill, kill. The nobles of Jiangnan were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out. Everyone kept screaming. It was as if a banquet was suddenly attacked by a terrorist. Cheng Feng, Li Muting saw his son's head cut off and died on the spot. He lost control of his emotions and screamed. He looked at Jiang Xiu with fear and hatred. Shut up. Jiang Xiu didn't even look at him. He raised his hand and Li Muting's body was cut off like a piece of wood. He died on the spot. Oh my God! Everyone in the field was extremely shocked. The Li family's father and son were the second most powerful pawns of Crown Prince Ao in Jiangnan. They were slaughtered like livestock. Crown Prince Ao's power was strong enough to suppress Jiangnan. Jiang Luoxia dared to kill and provoke him in front of his face? Was he going to fight head-on? Crown Prince Ao saw this and his face was calm. But his eyes flashed fiercely like lightning. How dare you? A disciple of the Ji family was furious. How dare you kill the Li family's people in front of Crown Prince Ao? Do you think there's no one in the Ji family? Do you think the Ji family doesn't dare to kill? There was silence in the Shizi manor. Brother Cheng, bring that person here. The young masters and young ladies stood there trembling. They were afraid that the fight between the immortals would hurt them. Okay. Ji Cheng walked toward Jiang Xiu. Jiang Luoxia, please. Ji Cheng made a gesture, indicating that Jiang Xiu could go. Jiang Xiu played a trick, but it was also a common game in the dark. It was like when two leaders met, the one who left would stand and greet them. There were many tricks in this. The leader would naturally wait for the person who came. This undoubtedly highlighted that Jiang Ao's identity was more precious than Jiang Xiu's. Humph! Jiang Xiu sneered. The confrontation between true experts had always been a contest of strength. This kind of game in the dark was a psychological battle in the officialdom. Why would Jiang Xiu care about it? He was not in a hurry, as if he was taking a stroll in the courtyard of his home. 9 mysteries cleansed the sky. 1,000 years of hard work. Even without a square inch, he was still outstanding. True top-notch experts could kill people while chatting and laughing. They could advance and retreat as they pleased. There were 11 demigods on the list. What kind of scene was this? The two elders in the distance were amazed. He was indeed extraordinary. Everyone was looking at Jiang Xiao. Jiang Luoxia is here. Unless Ji Wudao is here, Ji Yizong and Crown Prince Ao won't be able to resist him. The old man looked as if he had everything under control. Only people who had reached his level would know the true meaning of being a demigod. Only then would they know how terrifying Jiang Xiao truly was. A demigod who truly ran amok in the world was not someone who could be defended against by the banner of his family. You are Jiang Luoxia? Ji Yizong could feel Jiang Xiao's strength. He was an absolute expert. He could vaguely feel the same aura as his ancestors. Listening carefully, the inner breath in Jiang Xiao's body rumbled like thunder. He was definitely not an ordinary person. If Ji Wudao were to ask me this question, it would be more appropriate. You are not qualified. Jiang Xiao returned to the Wang family's old house that was being renovated. The environment was indeed very suitable for cultivation. Out of interest, he cultivated for 3 days. Just now, when Lin Shu from high school called to tell him that Cheng Lingsu was captured by Crown Prince Ao, he was willing to come out. He didn't care about Cheng Lingsu's life or death, but he didn't know how to explain it to his mother. Ji Yizong could feel Jiang Xiao's inner breath because he had just started cultivating. Normally, he wouldn't have sensed it. Arrogant. Ji Yizong said, "How dare you talk about my family?" Before he could finish his sentence, Jiang Xiao waved a hand. With a swoosh, a ray of white qi flashed across the air and shot toward Ji Yizong. Ji Yizong's face paled. He wanted to use his inner energy to defend himself. He was the most talented person in the Ji family, a peak transcendent state overlord. He was only half a step away from becoming a demigod. However, he didn't expect that Jiang Xiao's qi would be so powerful. The white light flashed in front of his eyes, and when it dimmed, his consciousness was gone. He was killed just like the father and son of the Li family. In Mr. Zhang's eyes, the members of the Ji family were no different from ordinary people. Who do you think you are? Even Ji Wudao wouldn't dare to talk to me like that. Song. Jiang Ao's voice was stuck in his throat. He could no longer remain calm, and stood up involuntarily. Looking at the corpse of his future uncle, Ji Yizong, on the ground, his eyes bulged and the muscles on his cheeks twitched. Jiang Xiao had already walked to the opposite side of him and sat down. Crown Prince Ao stood up and Jiang Xiao sat down. The position of the host and the guest had changed. The haughty demeanor that the proud crown prince had created just now collapsed under Jiang Xiao's attack. It was trampled into nothing by the dripping blood. And it was even covered with a layer of weakness and powerlessness. The family lords, young masters, and young ladies of the Jiangnan families kept quiet out of fear. They lowered their heads and didn't dare to say a word. Mr. Jiang was too terrifying. He had killed 3 people in a row. They were all terrified. Good, very good. Crown Prince Ao's body trembled. Chapter 202. At this moment, everyone present was terrified. Their hearts were cold. Who would have thought that Mr. Zhang's counterattack would be so simple and crude? Yet it went straight to the point. No matter how many schemes you have, I'll break them all by myself. In the face of absolute power, no conspiracy or power could stop him. First, he killed Crown Prince Ao in Jiangnan. Then he killed the Ji family. Heads rolled, and they were scared out of their wits. Even Crown Prince Ao's face was full of fear. At this moment, Jiangnan was shocked. Jiang Luoxia didn't show up for 3 days, which gave everyone an illusion that Mr. Jiang was scared. He wanted to give up the country he had conquered and leave Jiangnan. He was scared. He was scared of Ji Wudao. But now Jiang Luoxia gave everyone a slap in the face, a loud slap in the face. Slap. Everyone was dumbfounded by the beating. And with this slap, Jiang Luoxia's revenge might follow. Standing behind Crown Prince Ao was the head of the Dong family. His legs were trembling, and he could not feel them at all. He would fall to the ground at any time. The heads of the aristocratic families in Jiangnan who had cheered for Crown Prince Ao on his trip to Jiangnan were also petrified. If Mr. Jiang did not fall, they would end up like the Tang family and the Jin family. Crown Prince Ao said, "Do you know who you killed?" Jiang Xiu asked. Who? Crown Prince Ao's eyes flashed with anger. It's Ji Wudao's great-grandson, the youngest great-grandson. Jiang Xiu said. So what? Crown Prince Ao said. You really want to make the Jiang family and the Ji family your enemy? Jiang Xiu smiled coldly. He couldn't help but want to say, isn't this nonsense? Jiang Luoxia's business in the capital wasn't stopped by the Jiang family. My business in Jiangnan wasn't stopped by the Jiang family. If you dare to stop my business, you have to bear the consequences. Crown Prince Ao said. Jiang Luoxia, don't forget that you're a demigod. The Ji family also has a demigod, not to mention the martial arts families and friends of the Ji family's demigod. Their power, background, and strength are far beyond your imagination. Let me give you a piece of advice. A wise man submits to circumstances. Some families and some people you can't afford to offend. Jiang Xiu said. You mean the Jiang family? His eyes gradually became cold. I really want to know why I can't afford to offend you. However, I feel that your Jiang family isn't strong enough. I broke Jiang Heng's limbs and threw him in front of Jiang Yishan's house. In the end, they only sent an insignificant character like you. Crown Prince Ao, you think you're worthy of the title of Crown Prince. Shameless. The fear in Crown Prince Ao's eyes grew stronger because he felt a murderous aura burst out of Jiang Xiu's body. You want to kill me? I'm Jiang. Jiang Xiu's eyes were as cold as water. His murderous intent was like the steel of the deep sea, unshakable. Under everyone's terrified gaze, Jiang Xiu raised his butcher's knife. The two elders in the distance couldn't sit still anymore. They stood up and shouted. Jiang Luoxia won't kill the grandson of old Jiang, will he? Is he going to fight to the death? No, Jiang Luoxia wouldn't dare. He's the grandson of old Jiang. He wouldn't dare. Crown Prince Ao's eyes were full of fear. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. Crown Prince Ao was from Jiangnan. Would he end up like this? Jiang Ao shouted. I'm a descendant of the Jiang family. How dare you kill me? Jiang Xiu said. Don't worry. When I, Jiang Luoxia, do things, I've never paid a life for a life. Instead, I want your entire Jiang clan to completely disappear from this world. Puff. Blood splashed and splashed on the flower bed in the distance. The leaves were swaying under the pressure. Crown Prince Ao fell in a pool of blood. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Crown Prince Ao was dead. Behind Jiang Ao, the master of the Dong family couldn't stand anymore. His trembling legs couldn't support his fat body. He sat on the ground with his eyes so wide open that they almost fell out. He's dead, he's dead. Crown Prince Ao is dead. There was no sound in the field. It was as silent as death. Jiang Xiu looked at Ji Chong. At this time, Ji Chong was also stunned. This person killed without hesitation. Did he not consider the consequences? The Ji family had a demigod, and the Jiang family had old Master Jiang. He was not afraid of revenge. Why did he have to kill them? Go back and tell Ji Wudao that Jiang Luoxia is waiting for him. If he doesn't dare to come, I'll kill the Ji family. I, Jiang Luoxia, never take a life for a life. Those who offend me, I'll kill their entire family. His voice was like thunder in the silent night sky. It shocked the sky and earth, and it didn't dissipate for a long time. Ji Chong nodded mechanically. Today, Crown Prince Ao had come to Jiangnan and threatened Master Jiang's interests. Master Jiang had acted to kill him, and there was no turning back. There was only one battle. Either Jiang Luo or Ji Wudao would lose. I'll send the message. Jiang Xiu didn't look at him after he finished speaking. Instead, his gaze fell on Cheng Lingsu. You're quite good at causing trouble for me. Cheng Lingsu's face was full of excitement. When Jiang Xiu came, she was quite worried. She did not expect Jiang Xiu to come here with such an unstoppable force, killing 4 people in a row. Heads rolled on the ground as he suppressed everything with thunderous means. Her blood was boiling as she watched. She felt as if there were 10,000 horses galloping in her heart. She felt an inexplicable sense of pride surging in her body. So sorry. Jiang Xiu snorted. His gaze fell on Ouying Qian and Li Dan. The 2 women were so scared that their faces were pale. When they met Jiang Xiu's gaze, they fell to their knees. Su, please let us go. We didn't do it on purpose? Lin Shu hesitated before he made the call. Although he had broken contact with Chung Lingsu, he couldn't bear to do that to her after all. They had been classmates for 3 years. So he roughly told her what had happened. Jiang Xiu knew what had happened. Don't let me see you again. The two women hurriedly got up and ran away as if they had been pardoned. But they were stopped by the Tang family at the door. Tang Wenchong said, Did Mr. Jiang say you can go? Throw them into the West Lake. Yes. Jiang Xiu glanced at Chung Lingsu coldly. He didn't have the habit of letting this woman take advantage of his power. Did she really think she was the wife of the Tang family's young master, and dared to call the shots? He taught these two women a lesson because they didn't know how to respect him. Jiang Luoxia. After Chung Lingsu revealed her identity as Jiang Luoxia's wife, she was even more ruthless. No, don't. Mr. Jiang, please spare our lives. The two women cried and screamed. Su, please save us. We're good sisters. We've been friends for 3 years in high school. They knew that begging Jiang Xiu wouldn't work, so they begged Chung Lingsu. But Chung Lingsu didn't dare to say anything. She herself was a sinner, so she lowered her head and didn't dare to speak. Jiang Xiu turned around and walked out. Chung Lingsu hurried to follow him. Wherever they went, all the rich and powerful people in Jiangnan shouted, Farewell, Mr. Jiang. Prince Ao's power in Jiangnan was amazing, but he couldn't resist Jiang Luoxia's killing. Everything collapsed. The news swept through Jiangnan like a gust of wind. Deputy Governor Dong picked up the phone with trembling hands and dialed the Jiang family's number. Jiang. Prince Ao was killed by Jiang Luoxia. The quiet Jiang family seemed to have been hit by an air raid. It was an uproar. Jiang family's son Jiang Ao was killed. Old Master Jiang was furious at home. Everyone in the Jiang family was wailing and crying. News that spread even faster than Crown Prince Ao's death spread throughout the martial arts world. Jiang Luo, who was ranked 11th on the demigod ranking, had challenged Ji Wudao to a duel. The Ji family had responded. The duel would take place in the capital during the Mid-Autumn Festival. A battle between demigods that hadn't happened in half a century triggered the entire martial arts forum. Countless martial artists rushed to the capital, and even martial arts enthusiasts from other countries came to China. For a moment, the capital was full of people. On the other hand, Jiangnan was silent. Nothing had changed. Everything was waiting to see who would emerge victorious in this battle of the century between Jiang Luoxia and Ji Wudao. If Jiang Luoxia won, then Jiangnan would no longer have half of Jiangnan under its feet, but the whole of Jiangnan. If Ji Wudao won, then Jiang Luoxia would no longer exist in Jiangnan. That day, Jiang Xiu brought Chung Lingsu home. Chung Lingsu was silent like a child who had done something wrong. Jiang Xiu didn't give her a chance to explain. He didn't want to hear her explanation. Go back to the capital. The Jiang family's business has nothing to do with you. Don't interfere. Also, after this is over in a few days, we'll divorce. Then, I'll give you whatever you want. That room is empty. You can sleep there tonight. Divorce? Chung Lingsu looked up at Jiang Xiu in shock, then lowered her head sadly. Oh. Chapter 203. Chung Lingsu wasn't in the mood to sleep. She walked alone in the courtyard, admiring the beautiful scenery of Jiang Xiu's house. No, to be precise, she was admiring the beautiful scenery of her own house. Jiang Xiu was the owner here, so she was the mistress here. She heard that this used to be the Wang family's garden. There had been miracles here, and it was a place with excellent feng shui. It was comparable to any tourist attraction. She came to a rock and sat down. She rested her chin on her hand and stared at the lake in front of her. The moonlight reflected on the water, round and bright. Jiang Xiu just said that he wanted to divorce. Chung Lingsu knew from the beginning that he didn't want to get married. She thought to herself, I'm not happy. Isn't it just one mistake? Is it necessary to deny other people's efforts? She was second Miss Chung. She was smart since she was young. She had never made a mistake like today. She always thought that she was a lucky girl. She was beautiful and generous. Everywhere she went, she would be doted on. She could do anything she wanted. However, since she met Jiang Xiu, she had been unlucky. She picked up a stone and threw it at the moon in the water. The moon in the water rippled with the waves. You despise me, but I despise you? Nothing I want to do when I meet you. You're a jinx. She turned her head and looked at the attic where Jiang Xiu was. There were a lot of people here tonight. They were all from Jiang City. She knew some of them. They were the Tang family and the Zhong family of Jiang City. They lit up the antique signboards and seemed to have something to discuss. It should be about the duel with the powerful person from the Ji family during the Mid-Autumn Festival. He was so powerful. You wouldn't lose, right? Suddenly a voice sounded. Miss. It was the middle of the night, and although there were street lamps in the garden, the light was only enough for people to see the road clearly. Many places were dark, and a sudden sound could really scare people to death. Oh my God! Even second Miss Cheng couldn't care less about her image. She screamed and almost fell from the rock into the lake. She was so scared that her soul almost flew out. She turned around and saw a woman in her 30s. She was holding a wooden basin with clothes in her hands. Are you trying to scare me to death? The woman smiled apologetically and said, I'm sorry for scaring you. Sir told me to let you wash these clothes. Wash clothes? Cheng Lingsu widened her eyes. Jiang Xiu, you really can do it? She said angrily. Why? There are so many servants in the house. Why do I have to wash it? The woman smiled and said, This is Sir's order. Are you kidding me? Cheng Lingsu said. Can't you just put it in the washing machine? The woman said. Sir said to let you wash it by hand. There's a pond downstream. The water is very clear. After washing it, use a hairdryer to dry it. Sir will wear it tomorrow. What? Cheng Lingsu finally understood that he wanted to torture her, just like in Jiang City. He wanted to torture her until she couldn't take it anymore. Then, she would obediently divorce him. She glanced at the attic and cursed. You're really a bastard. A stubborn look appeared on her pretty face as she reached out to take the wooden basin. Okay, I'll go. It was destined to be a restless night. The Jiang residence welcomed a special guest. He came from a hidden family in Jiangnan, the Nie family. He called himself Master Nie. Jiang Xiu led him to a pavilion in the Jiang family's garden. In front of them was a platform that resembled a mountain peak. The Jiang family's garden was high above the water. It was an excellent place to hide the wind and water. During the Song dynasty, it was once the emperor's summer retreat. Standing at the highest point of the mountain, one could see thousands of lights in the distance. Beyond the lights was the magnificent Qian River. Master Nie, please sit. Master Nie gestured. In front of Jiang Xiu, he didn't dare to be arrogant. He sat down with Jiang Xiu and sighed. When I was young, I came here with my father. Oh, Master Nie said self-deprecatingly. My father wanted me to enter the Wang family. However, Wang Jianji said that I wouldn't achieve anything in my life and refused to let me in. Master Nie, have some tea. Wang Xintong carried a tray into the pavilion and placed it on the round stone table. Then, she brought the teacup to Master Nie. The night breeze caressed his face and the fragrance of the green tea. Miss Xintong, I wouldn't dare ask you to serve me tea. Wang Xintong smiled sweetly. Old Master Nie, it's Xintong's honor to be able to pour tea for you. Don't treat a little girl like this too much. Others don't know the name of the golden dragon, but I've heard the elders of my family mention it. Master Nie shook his head helplessly. Everyone thinks too highly of me. Only then did Jiang Xiu realize the old man's identity. So it's the golden dragon Nie Yin. When Jiang Xiu saw him, it was only because of his high level of cultivation. He was considered one of the top cultivators in the mortal world. Since he dared to step into the Jiang residence and pay a visit to Mr. Jiang, he naturally wasn't an ordinary person. Jiang Xiu said, Master Nie, what brings you here so late at night? Master Nie's expression became serious. Mr. Jiang, you've gone too far today. The Li family and the Dong family are nothing. Even killing Ji Yitzong is nothing. But Jiang Ao is different. He's old Master Zhang's grandson. He's the link between the Jiang family and the Ji family. Both old Master Jiang and the Ji family care about him very much. This person is very important to both families. Haha. Jiang Xiu sneered. The Jiang family and the Ji family joined forces and Crown Prince Ao came to Jiangnan. With such a big lineup, he wanted to take over the foundation of Jiangnan. He publicly stopped all of my businesses. If I didn't kill him, who would dare to bully me? Even you would look down on me. He's just a child of the Jiang family. So what if I killed him? I won't let the Jiang family and the Ji family off. His tone was casual, as if he didn't care at all. Master Nie said, if the Nie family's information is correct, Mr. Jiang has killed 3 demigods. Wang Jianji, Jin Muzin, and an unknown person. Jiang Xiu didn't show it, but he was secretly shocked. Ji Wudao is different from them. Ever since the Ji clan was established, it has been around for 400 to 500 years. Every clan has its ups and downs, and the Ji clan is no exception. It has experienced 3 great ups and downs. The first time was during the Wanli era, when they almost lost their wings. It was a man called Ji Yong who appeared out of nowhere and saved the clan. The second time was more than 100 years later, during the Daoguang era of the Qing dynasty, when the clan also suffered a great crisis. Then Ji Dupei appeared and eliminated the enemy. The third time was during the First World War. Family ups and downs were inevitable. Jiang Xiu couldn't tell the difference. Master Nie said, but according to the information collected by the Nie family, we came to a shocking conclusion. In fact, Ji Yong, Ji Dupei, and Ji Wudao are actually the same person. Suddenly, Wang Xintong dropped the tray she was holding. What Lord Nie said was a secret that only a handful of people knew. Wang Jianji, Jin Muzin, I don't know their names. These demigods are no older than 200 years old. As for the Ji family, it's been proven that he's already been alive for more than 400 years. Who knows how long he's been alive for? Jiang Xiu's expression changed when he heard this. 500 years of Earth immortal. No matter what it was, as long as one lived for 500 years, there would be a qualitative change. Mortals could become immortals, animals could become demons, and the Ji family's ancestral patriarch had most likely become an immortal or a god. 60 years ago, foreign tribes invaded China, and the flames of war were everywhere. There was an organization in Japan called the Black Dragon Society. At that time, the Black Dragon Society specialized in yin and yang martial arts and suppressed the Chinese martial arts. This man from the Ji family fought them at the Pinghai Lake. The leader of the Black Dragon Society was defeated and returned to China on a boat. He swore that as long as this man from the Ji family was still alive, he would never return to China. Jiang Xiu asked, what about the battle? Master Nie shook his head. I don't know, but the result is known to the world. During World War II, there were many such battles. At that time, China was humiliated and countless tyrants rose to the surface. Despite the flames of war and the country's resistance against the enemy, this battle was still dazzling and was praised by countless people. Jiang Xiu couldn't help but ponder. He had to rein in his pride. Based on all these things, Ji Wudao might be a god. He wasn't the immature golden guard who guarded the ancient desert city. If Ji Wudao had lived for more than 500 years, he would be a true god. No matter how many divine powers Jiang Xiu had, he couldn't make up for the huge gap in power. That's why I'm here to give Mr. Jiang a piece of advice. You're not even 20 years old. There's still a long way to go. Run for your life while you still have a chance. Chapter 204. Jiang Xiu stood up from his seat with his hands behind his back. He walked to the edge of the pavilion and gazed into the starry sky. Master Nie, I understand why you came to persuade me in the middle of the night. However, even though you know how terrifying Ji Wudao is, you don't know what kind of existence I am. Looking at Jiang Xiu's back, Master Nie felt as if Jiang Xiu had merged with heaven and earth, as if he was going to devour everything. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and his hair slowly grew longer. He looked as if he had turned into a deity who stood above the mortal world. Although Master Nie was shocked, he still shook his head. The second stage of god evolution was indeed impressive. It wasn't that Jiang Luoxiao wasn't strong enough. He was already strong enough. It was just that the opponent he faced was too strong, too strong. Jiang Xiu said, since Master Nie thinks that Ji Wudao's cultivation is above mine, why did you come to visit me in the middle of the night? Aren't you afraid that Ji Wudao will come after you? Master Nie said, Because you're not even 20 years old. You're the only demigod to appear in China since the Second World War. Jiang Xiu laughed. Master Nie cherishes talent? Master Nie said. Cherishing talent is one thing. On the other hand, Mr. Jiang is a rare commodity. As the saying goes, rare commodities are worth hoarding. The Nie family has no choice but to go into seclusion. If Mr. Jiang makes a name for himself in the future, please remember my kindness in telling you this. Jiang Xiu thought to himself that this old man was rather straightforward. He liked this kind of person. He hated those who were hypocritical and pretentious. They obviously came with a purpose, but they still had to pretend to be saints who only thought about you. Jiang Xiu said, I won't leave. Master Nie was a little anxious. The Nie family had been waiting for a demigod for a century. Mr. Jiang, why do you have to do this? Do you insist on fighting Ji Wudao for your so-called reputation? This is what a boorish man would do, Jiang Xiu said calmly. Even if Ji Wudao is a god, he might not be able to do anything to me. Master Nie said, it's good to be confident, but forget it. Since Mr. Jiang insists, I'll stop here. He stood up. In the 6,000 years of Chinese history, there were only a handful of people who had ascended to godhood. There were almost no written records that could prove it. The only thing that could be proven was that the gods were not to be blasphemed against. If Ji Wudao was truly a god, then even if all the demigods in the world were to gang up on him, they would still be unable to do anything to a true god. I'll take my leave now. He clearly didn't believe Jiang Xiu's words. Walking out of the Jiang mansion, he couldn't help but look back at the ancient garden that was filled with the charm of history. Sigh. He let out a long sigh and shook his head helplessly. Disappointment lingered in his heart. It was a pity for the Nie family, and even more so for Jiang Xiu. Wang Xintong said worriedly, Master Nie is known as the Golden Dragon Nie Yin. This person has studied the best of every school since he was young, and has traveled all over the world. His knowledge of things is extraordinary. He even knows about such a secret as Ji Wudao. Why don't we listen to him and go abroad to lie low for a while? Money can't be earned? You're still so young. It won't be too late to come back for revenge after that person from the Ji family has left. Wang Xintong said, I'll always be by your side. Jiang Xiu chuckled. If Master Nie's guess is correct, Ji Wudao might be over 500 years old. Wang Xintong said, Isn't that even better? He's already 500 years old. He definitely won't live much longer. Who knows, maybe in the next few years. Jiang Xiu said, A deer lives for 500 years as a white deer. After another 500 years, it becomes a black deer. When the Han dynasty became an emperor, the people of Zhongshan obtained a black deer. They cooked it and looked at its black bones. Immortals ate the black deer and lived up to 2,000 years. Wang Xintong looked confused. Jiang Xiu said, 500 years old. If Ji Wudao is really over 500 years old, he'll be an earth immortal. The longest he can live is 2,000 years. You want me to compare my lifespan with his? Ha! Wang Xintong's eyes widened in shock. He can live up to 2,000 years old? A dynasty that lived for more than 200 years was considered a long history. If a person could live up to 2,000 years old, it would be no different from an immortal's life. No wonder he was called an earth immortal. Then why are you still? Since Ji Wudao was so powerful, of course he would try his best to avoid him. Why was he still so insistent? The earth was so big, and he could go anywhere. It wouldn't be easy for Ji Wudao to find him even if he changed his name or appearance. Jiang Xiu smiled faintly, stood up, and walked to his room. The list of those who should be killed in Jiangnan has been made. Inform Bodhi Biogenetics to do the job. Since the Jiang family has stepped in, we must make them pay the price. Wang Xintong said, Are we really going to kill them all? Her face turned green, then white, and her heart trembled violently. There were more than 1,000 names on the list in her mind, involving more than 20 families. Moreover, these people were all the top nobles in Jiangnan. If she killed all these people, she didn't dare to imagine what kind of turmoil would occur in Jiangnan. Kill them all. Jiang Xiu's tone left no room for doubt. Jiangnan, which was still silent in the night, was completely unaware that a butcher's knife was falling. The full moon in the sky was blocked by a layer of dark clouds that came out of nowhere. It was raining. Chung Lingsu, who was washing clothes by the pond, raised her head. The rain fell on her pretty face, and in an instant it became heavier. She quickly covered her head with her hands and ran to the far end of the corridor. Why is it raining all of a sudden? Boom! A bolt of lightning flashed across the dark night sky. In a villa area in Hangzhou, Jiangnan, more than 10 ghostly shadows silently invaded. Blood spurted and heads rolled. In another villa in Hangzhou, there was a heart-wrenching scream. Accompanied by the scream, a person dragged himself out of the house, covered in blood. A merciless butcher's knife was stabbed into his back. Ninghai, Spirit Mountain, and Jiangqing were all shrouded in the heavy rain. At the moment when the lightning lit up, the rolling water on the ground was mixed with bright red blood. It was possible to guess who did it, but there was no evidence. However, the reason was clear in the capital. Crown Prince Ao was high-profile enough in Jiangnan, so Jiang Xiu was high-profile enough. No matter how powerful Jiang Yishan was, let's see if he could bear the consequences. Once this matter was out, Jiangnan would be in chaos. Dao Yutai would definitely be angry. Wang Xintong was worried about Gu Deji. Before dawn she called him. Gu Deji was so scared that he was awake. If it weren't for Wang Xintong's call, he couldn't imagine what would happen in Jiangnan when he woke up the next morning. He immediately asked the military to deal with the aftermath. The body couldn't be exposed. On the second day, the warrior in the raincoat finally finished his task at dawn. It was all thanks to the heavy rain. Otherwise, the pungent smell of blood would not have been able to be concealed. Everyone in the Jiang family was furious because of Jiang Ao's murder. They stayed up all night, wailing and waiting for the body to arrive. They were ready to take one last look at it, and then deal with the aftermath. Yimi hurried over. Old Master, something big has happened. Old Master Jiang waved his hand. Don't say anything. My grandson's body will be here soon. I don't want to hear anything else. Jiang Ao was his hope. He wanted to help him get to the top. But the most painful thing in the world was to send a white-haired person to the black wind. Yimi said anxiously, "This matter is very important." The Jiang family looked at Yimi in disgust. Didn't she see where they were? It was a morning hall. Didn't she see that everyone was wearing linen clothes? Didn't she see that the women were about to faint from crying? Yimi frowned and said, "The rich and powerful of Jiangnan who cheered for young Master Ao. More than 20 families, nearly 1,000 people, were all slaughtered at dawn today. No one was spared." Whoosh! Old Master Jiang's lifeless eyes suddenly widened. His appearance was terrifying, and there was a trace of panic in his eyes that had never been seen before. "What did you say?" His sons and sons-in-law's expressions changed drastically. They knew what kind of consequences this would cause. Old Master Jiang couldn't believe it. "Say it again." "Old Master, that Jiang Luoshi is too ruthless." Secretary Yi still felt chills all over his body. His hands and feet were cold. Jiangnan had collapsed, and all of this had started with the Jiang family's proud prince descending to Jiangnan. Old Master Jiang felt weak all over. His body swayed and his vision turned white. He couldn't stand anymore and fell backward. Chapter 205. At this time, Jiang Xiu was already in seclusion. He had as many as 69 divine imprints, and the diagram was almost complete. The words at the bottom of the divine imprint were already connected. He had thought that the 69th line would be the last stroke, but unexpectedly, it was not. He held a longevity stone talisman in each hand and sat cross-legged in the quiet room. The blood and qi in his body kept churning. In the past, it was like boiling water. Now, when he cultivated, thunder roared in his body, like a thunderstorm on the sea. The movement was very shocking. On the surface of his body, there was a red light, and then a blue light. The temperature in the room also kept changing. Boom! The frequency of red and blue light kept increasing. When it reached the peak, there was a boom. The red and blue light exploded like crystals, shooting out in all directions. However, they were all absorbed into Jiang Xiu's body. At this moment, it was as if time and space were flowing backward. Jiang Xiu's eyes suddenly opened, shooting out a strong light, awakening the 70th layer. This was also the so-called 70th stage of God's evolution in martial arts on Earth. However, Jiang Xiu's appearance didn't change other than his aura becoming stronger. Not yet. Jiang Xiu checked the divine imprint diagram on his arm. He added another stroke in the middle of the rune. There were a total of 70 divine imprints, but he still couldn't form a complete divine imprint. Continue. Boom. 71st divine imprint. Boom. 72nd divine imprint. Boom, boom, boom. The number of divine imprints on Jiang Xiu's arm had already reached 80 as he continued to cultivate day and night. The entire divine imprint diagram was already very clear, and the energy in his body had also soared. However, as long as the divine imprints were not complete, he still had no way to transform his energy into a true deity. The divine inscriptions on his arm were all different from different angles. This was natural. Ordinary portraits would also be different from different angles. However, divine inscriptions shouldn't be identified based on orientation. The true essence of the divine inscriptions lay in the charm of the divine inscriptions. Every divine inscription would emit a powerful aura that was almost tangible. However, without the divine imprint, the musical notes couldn't be awakened. In the end, he couldn't unleash the power of the divine imprint. Boom. Jiang Xiu awakened once again. Unlike the previous times, when he awakened this time, he felt a powerful suppressive force pressing down on him. He suddenly opened his eyes. This power is... Jiang Xiu was incomparably astonished. He had never imagined that such a situation would occur. He inclined his head and stared at the divine imprint on his arm, only to see the 81st divine imprint appearing on it. 9 by 9, 81. The meaning behind it was boundless. How could this be? The complete runes of the divine sigil should explode with a powerful force. Following that, he would completely awaken and evolve into a true Protoss, completing the final evolution. However, Jiang Xiu's divine runes were complete, but Jiang Xiu did not advance. Could it be that this world won't allow me to become a god? Jiang Xiu was unwilling to give up, and began to cultivate again. He wanted to try again, but a suppressive force even stronger than the one before descended. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Divine punishment. It was a heaven-defying divine punishment. Why won't I, Jiang Luoxia, become a god? Jiang Xiu spat out a mouthful of blood, but his eyes were fierce. He gritted his teeth and spat out word by word. He couldn't understand. How could this be? What exactly was the problem? Even with Jiang Xiu's 3,000 years of cultivation experience, he couldn't figure it out. The only explanation was that there was a difference between the Earth and the immortal martial continent, and he was restricted by this world. He couldn't think of a solution in such a short time. However, the Mid-Autumn Festival was approaching. Even he didn't have much confidence in fighting a god as a demigod. After pondering for a while, he decided to cultivate the sword or the saber to increase his battle prowess. In his previous life, Jiang Xiu cultivated the sword, and was also a famous sword cultivator in the immortal martial continent. However, he always felt that there was a flaw in his sword. He felt that his compatibility with the sword wasn't perfect. Because of this, he went to Shishuanji to test his compatibility with the sword. It was 99%. It was very high. When the news spread, the immortal martial continent was shocked. Those who could surpass 90% were peerless geniuses of the sword. 99% meant that they were geniuses among geniuses. Jiang Xiu's speed in sword cultivation was also proof of this. However, he always felt that something was wrong. This feeling was very subtle and mysterious. In layman's terms, it was like drinking water. Only one would know whether it was cold or warm. Everyone's feelings were different. Only they could judge whether it was cold or warm. So this time he decided to try the saber. In his previous life, Tianqing School didn't have saber cultivators, so Jiang Xiu couldn't come into contact with saber cultivators. When he walked the path of sword cultivation, he didn't think about saber cultivation. However, it was different now. He had to start from scratch. Whether it was sword cultivation or saber cultivation, the first step was to build a saber pellet, which was the so-called saber embryo. In order to do this, he would need a strange natural earth-type material. The quality of the natural earth-type material would greatly affect the power of the sword cultivator. The only strange natural earth-type material that Jiang Xiu had right now were the 2 longevity stone talismans in his hands. He could only refine the longevity stone talismans. Jiang Xiu sat cross-legged again. His mind was clear again, and his thoughts slowly calmed down. Jiang Xiu was a cultivation maniac. His obsession with cultivation was like a nerd playing games. He would be addicted as soon as he got involved. Because he was focused enough, he entered the situation faster than ordinary people. His divine essence was as vast as the sea, and divine power surged endlessly. Whether it was the so-called inner strength of martial arts or the so-called divine power of demigods, they were all internal energy. There would be a time when they would be exhausted. They were very limited. Only when one became a true god could they use all the energy in the void for their own use. This would allow one to suddenly rise to a higher level. It would be very difficult for Jiang Xiu to refine the longevity stone talisman if he could not become a god. He shrouded the longevity stone talisman with the god illumination and turned it into fine energy particles. Jiang Xiu did not know what the longevity stone talisman was. He did not know if he could refine it. However, his sixth sense of spiritual cultivation told him that this item could be refined. According to his knowledge, there was nothing in the world that could not be refined. It was just a matter of whether one could refine it or not. The light of the runes on the stone shone and dimmed. However, it was obvious that it was different from before. Slowly, energy particles evaporated from the stone. The speed was not fast, but it was still visible. What followed was a long and meticulous process. On one hand, he had to refine the longevity stone talisman with the god illumination. On the other hand, he had to carefully absorb the longevity stone talisman's energy particles into his divine essence. After an unknown amount of time, a bright silver ball of energy floated and shone in Jiang Xiu's divine essence. After an unknown amount of time, the longevity stone talisman in his hands turned into thick energy particles. They gathered together and did not disperse. From this, it could be seen that the refining speed was much faster than the absorption speed. Slowly, Jiang Xiu increased the speed of his cultivation. The silver ball of light began to spin. The energy particles absorbed increased at a speed visible to the naked eye. After the 2 huge longevity stone talismans were refined, they looked like small balls of light. However, the divine essence was vast and boundless. It was just a visual feeling. However, this feeling was not without reason. During the refining process, the longevity stone talisman had become much more condensed. This gave Jiang Xiu another problem. Suddenly, the silver ball of light that was originally spinning and floating slowly unfolded. It unfolded like a thread. Whoosh! This thread of light flew out of his divine vitality, passing through his divine Tao thoughts as if it was passing through the vast universe. Following his will, it rushed out of his body from his glabella, leaving behind a drop of blood that looked like a needle. After the silver thread of light flew out, it immediately expanded. It became a 3-inch-long knife and floated in front of Jiang Xiu's glabella. Knife pill. It was finally condensed. Now that he had refined it with a heaven-defying technique, it could not differentiate between friend and foe in his body. Jiang Xiu's divine essence, especially his divine essence, was extremely weak. If he accidentally damaged his divine essence, the consequences would be obvious. Therefore, it was nurtured in the form of a pill in his divine essence. Only when he became a true god could he truly refine the knife pill. Therefore, he had to be very careful. He controlled the flying knife to circle in the air above his head. Go! Following an incantation, the flying knife flashed and appeared on a long sword on the long table. With a whoosh, the long sword was cut into 2 without any resistance and fell to the ground. Chapter 206. The refinement of the knife pellet was the first step of knife cultivation. This was the art of immortal martial arts. There were many knife masters on earth, but they used the form to complement the technique. They used a knife to unleash the strongest power. A real knife cultivator used the technique to control the knife. The knife pellet had to be nurtured in the divine energy day and night. When the knife cultivator reached the great success stage, the knife spirit and the spirit would fuse and cause the spirit to mutate. This was an extremely high realm. When one reached that realm, their knife intent would be indestructible. Swoosh swoosh. As Jiang Xiu circulated the technique, the 3-inch dagger shone brightly in the room. After nearly 2 hours of practice, the flying dagger finally let out its first hum after trembling for a while. The knife pellet had been formed. Whether it was sword cultivation or knife cultivation, they were all very expensive. In the immortal martial continent, many people's cultivation was slow not because of their talent, but because of their lack of money. If one couldn't get the materials to improve the source of the knife, it would greatly limit one's cultivation. Now Jiang Xiu also had this problem. There were still 4 pieces of the longevity stone. If he could find them, his knife pellet would be much stronger. Withdraw. The knife flashed and appeared in front of Jiang Xiu's glabella. It slowly converged the knife momentum, then turned into a silk thread. Suddenly, it flashed and disappeared into the glabella. The silk thread shrank into a ball in Jiang Xiu's spirit energy. He got up and walked out, ready to leave seclusion. Outside the quiet room, the wind and rain were fierce. The attic in Jiangnan had a chill of early autumn. The wooden window was gently knocked by the wind. The sky in the distance was very dark. Jiang Xiu couldn't tell if it was morning or afternoon. "Sir," a maid downstairs noticed Jiang Xiu with her sharp eyes. Her voice was filled with surprise. "Quickly go and inform Mississippi." Not long after, dense footsteps were heard. The oriole in the cage in the distant attic was startled and chirped. Wang Xintong shouldn't have kept birds, but it was too quiet here. So she let one go. Jiang Xiu was holding the cage at this moment. "He's out of seclusion?" Jiang Xiu did not turn around. He reached out and opened the bird cage. He held the oriole in his palm and gave it a gentle push. The oriole flapped its arms and flew away. Little did it know that the storm outside was raging. It might not survive. "Where's Chenglingsu?" Wang Xintong said. "She washed clothes here for 2 days. Seeing that you didn't go out, she followed your instructions and went back to the capital. However, the capital is now." Jiang Xiu interrupted and asked, "How long have I been in seclusion?" Wang Xintong looked at Jiang Xiu in front of her. He was wearing very thin clothes because before he went into seclusion, the weather had not turned cold yet. She took out a piece of clothing and wanted to put it on him, but he grabbed it and put it on himself. Wang Xintong said helplessly, 11 days. During your seclusion, the outside world was in chaos. Thousands of influential people in Jiangnan were killed. It's equivalent to taking away half of the people at the top of the pyramid in Jiangnan. The entire economy of Jiangnan was in turmoil, and the society was in turmoil. Jiang Xiu said, "It's useful to talk about it." Wang Xintong said, "According to Gu Shu, the Jiang family was dissatisfied with the bad accident caused by Crown Prince Ao in Jiangnan. Many of Master Zhang's positions were suspended, and he handed over a lot of power. As for whether he will be completely dismissed, it's still up to the meeting to decide." Jiang Xiu said, "Is that so?" The effect was better than he imagined. Wang Xintong said, "However, Dao Yutai is even more dissatisfied with Mr. Jiang. I heard that someone even slammed the table and cursed at the meeting." Jiang Xiu hung the empty birdcage back and said, "I'm not an official, and I don't covet their power. It's not worthwhile for me to look at their faces." Besides, Wang Xintong wanted to say something but stopped. "What?" A worried look appeared on Wang Xintong's face, and her voice softened. "In the past few days when you were in seclusion, a man with green spots on his face called Zhu Xingding appeared out of nowhere and challenged all the top masters in the martial arts world. On September 27th, Zhu Xingding defeated Lu Yunhai, the demigod of Tonghua sect. On September 30th, Zhu Xingding challenged Jitai of Spirit Fist in Huanan. On October 2nd, Zhu Xingding destroyed Dunhuang in Huanan. On October 5th, in just 11 days, this person defeated several demigods who had already become legends. His name was known throughout China, and just like you, he entered the demigod ranking. Just as everyone was guessing his background, he told everyone that his master was Jiwudao. The whole martial arts world in China was in an uproar when the news spread. If Jiwudao's disciple was a demigod, then how terrifying was his strength? Some voices came from outside the pavilion. Jiang Xiu looked over and saw that it was the old subordinates of the Tang family and Boss Zhong. They seemed to be angry. Bullsh *T. Wenzuling cursed. Mr. Jiang will be scared out of his wits. What's so great about having a demigod as a disciple? How dare they say that Mr. Jiang is a coward? Now there are already people calling out Ji Wudao as the #1 demigod in China, the strongest person in the world. Si Wuxia's limelight has been completely overshadowed by him. Mr. Jiang shouldn't be keeping quiet at this time, not making a fuss. The name Mr. Jiang is about to become a joke. There was a reason for their anger. Jiang Luoxia came from Jiangcheng, and they were all regarded as Jiang Luoxia's direct subordinates. In fact, it was true. Jiang Luoxia's wretchedness had made them the target of ridicule by their fellow martial artists. They were angry just now. And now they were asking if Mr. Jiang had come out of seclusion. There are worse rumors out there. They say that Mr. Jiang has already escaped. He had been hiding for more than 10 days. Anything could be said. That's hard to say. Many people were secretly laughing at him. Old Master Tang said, "Don't gossip. Don't forget where we are. If we don't say it, can we shut the mouths of those people out there? To be honest, we all know in our hearts that Mr. Zhang's chances of winning are low. I'm afraid he can't even beat Ji Wudao's disciple." Tang Wenchong said, "Boss Zhong, if you think you can't win, why did you come to Jiangqing Park? Go back. No one is holding a gun to your neck to force you to come." Boss Zhong smiled awkwardly and sat down on the armchair. He spread his hands and said, "I didn't say that. The people outside said so." Jiang Xiu frowned. These people come here often? From the fact that these people dared to speak so loudly and without restraint, Jiang Xiu could tell that these people came here often. The more they came, the more relaxed they would naturally become. Then they would slowly become impudent. Wang Xintong nodded. They come every day. Sometimes they come several times a day to ask if you've come out of seclusion. I saw that they were your subordinates in Jiangcheng, so I greeted them. Jiang Xiu said, "Do you think I meet just anyone?" Wang Xintong had always done a good job in this aspect, but this time she handled it badly. Wang Xintong's gaze was somewhat evasive. Jiang Xiu's sharp senses told him that the people outside were not the only ones who had no confidence in him. Wang Xintong was the same as well. The night Lord Nie came, Wang Xintong persuaded him to leave China. Whether it was pain, happiness, or worry, once shared, the feelings would fade. She probably let these people in because she wanted to find some kind of spiritual comfort. Jiang Xiu said, "I don't care whether they are loyal or not. They are just small characters. However, old Master Tang is quite talented. Tang Wenchong is also at my beck and call." Wang Xintong said, "Yes, Tang Zhinshan is quite famous in the industry. I'll go get rid of them." Since Jiang Xiu had come out of seclusion, she did not need these people to share her worries. In fact, she did not have a good impression of others except for old Master Tang's family. They were all ruffians and had too much of a gangster aura. They were not compatible with her, a lady who graduated from a famous university, who played with brains and followed etiquette. After taking a few steps, Wang Xintong stopped. "Oh, by the way, old madam, no, your mother has called and sent a lot of text messages. See if you want to reply." Lin Yueling and Jiang Yi were hiding in a small place like Annan. Of course, they did not know what was happening in the upper class of Jiangnan. The martial arts world had nothing to do with them. Naturally, it would not be about his duel. Jiang Xiu guessed that his mother was most likely trying to force him to go abroad. "Give me the phone." Jiang Xiu called back. Lin Yueling picked up the phone. "Brat, you're finally willing to pick up the phone. Are you playing missing with your mother?" No, I dropped the phone." Lin Yueling did not dwell on this matter. Instead, she sighed. "It's going to be the Mid-Autumn Festival soon. It's the day when the moon and man are in full moon. Originally, the family was happy, but the capital called and asked your father to go back to the capital for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Your father has not slept for 3 or 4 nights." Jiang Xiu's face darkened. Chapter 207. Jiang Xiu sneered in his heart. If he didn't know what happened to the Jiang family, he would have thought that Jiang Yishan had finally found his conscience, put down his prejudice, and wanted to accept his son's family again. However, it was a pity that in that person's eyes, there was only power and not familial love. His current situation was very bad, and he urgently needed the Nangong family's unrelenting support. However, Jiang Xiu's family was unwilling to compromise. He could only put aside his usual coldness and play soft. Jiang Xiu asked, "Dad, how is he now?" Lin Yueling said worriedly, "He got drunk that night, and now he's been smoking all day. He can't even speak for half a day." He paused for a moment, then said, "Son, forget it." Jiang Xiu knew what Lin Yueling was thinking. In fact, Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling both knew that there was a condition for them to return, and that was that Jiang Xiu and Nangong got married. As for whether Jiang Yi wanted to return to that family, Jiang Xiu guessed that he wanted to, even if the Jiang family didn't save him. Of course, this return wasn't because he coveted the power of the Jiang family. If he coveted it, he wouldn't have had the courage to leave that year. In his heart, he was still thinking about the feelings that were almost completely broken. Jiang Xiu said calmly, "Don't have any hope." In his previous life, when his parents died, he hugged their ashes and cried in front of Jiang Yishan, but what he received was a look of disdain. In the end, his father turned into ashes and couldn't even return to the Jiang family. He wasn't even allowed to enter the ancestral hall. How could he have any hope for this kind of person? Lin Yueling said, "Yes, Mom knows. Well, I thought about it. You and Su Su are both studying in the capital, and you just got married, so it's not convenient for you to go back and forth. How about this? I'll call the in-laws, and we'll spend the Mid-Autumn Festival together in the capital." Her words were empty and didn't match up. He was now in Jiangnan, the couple was also in Jiangnan, and Cheng Hanlin and his wife were also in Jiangnan. Only Cheng Lingsu was in the capital, and she even found such a lousy excuse. However, Jiang Xiu's heart surged when he heard this. From this point on, he could see how much his mother cared about his father. As a son, he couldn't refute it. He was also going back to the capital. "Oh, Cheng Hanlin and his wife, send a car to pick them up." "Oh right, Cheng En and his wife, send a car to pick up Cheng and Cheng's. And Cheng and his's. T." With that, she hung up the phone. Jiang Xiu looked at the gloomy weather outside and felt the autumn chill on his face. It's time to end everything with the Jiang family. The noise outside the attic quieted down. Not long after, Wang Xintong's footsteps could be heard. She said softly, "I've already asked everyone to leave. I've also instructed people to send everyone else away, except for old Master Tang." Jiang Xiu nodded. How could it be so easy to meet the Tianqing school's head? In the Xianwu continent, many people racked their brains to meet the Tianqing school's head. "My mother wants to go to the capital to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. Arrange for someone to pick up Cheng Hanlin and his wife from Jiang City. Also arrange a plane," Wang Xintong said. "Okay." Jiang Xiu said, "Oh right, how are you celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival?" Wang Xintong looked at Jiang Xiu helplessly. "On the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival, you and Ji Wudao will fight in the capital. Your life and death will affect my life and death. Do you think I still have the mood to celebrate?" Looking at Jiang Xiu's calm appearance, Wang Xintong really admired his calmness. She said, "We've already discussed the mining equipment and technology. My father will be back from Europe before the Mid-Autumn Festival." Cheng Hanlin was now working in a company as a small employee. He received a salary of more than 3,000 yuan a month. Sun Xiaohong, on the other hand, was selling clothes in a shopping mall. She didn't know anything, but she was used to living a luxurious life. She still had some understanding of clothes. "Mr. Jiang is bringing us to the capital?" Cheng Hanlin was a bit stunned. Jiang Xiu had a lot of opinions about him and his wife. Bringing them to the capital to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival really surprised Cheng Hanlin. Sun Xiaohong, who was beside him, was very happy. "My son-in-law sent a car." "Hanlin, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and pack your luggage. It must be very grand over there. There must be a lot of high-ranking officials and nobles. You mustn't be rude." Cheng Hanlin's expression was a bit unnatural. Can we go? Sun Xiaohong said. How is it not good? Even if Jiang Xiu has a heart of stone, our daughter can still melt his heart. Isn't this matter already in the past? The Jiang family is doing so well now. Jiang Xiu has become Mr. Jiang. Cheng Hanlin's face was full of worry. He was a bit absent-minded. Why don't we not go? Sun Xiaohong said. If you don't go, I'll go. Don't be silly. It's such a good opportunity to repair your relationship with your son-in-law. If you don't seize it, do you really want to serve people in the company and print documents for the rest of your life? Cheng Hanlin hesitated and finally nodded. That's right. You and Jiang Yi used to be such good brothers. You even wanted to wear the same pants. Now that things have been cleared up and we've fulfilled our promise to him, it's time to let go of our prejudices. These days, no one wanted to live a hard life. The sky was still hazy, and the wind and rain showed no signs of stopping. Jiang City was not far from Hangzhou. After getting on the highway, they arrived in more than 3 hours. When they arrived, Jiang Yi and his wife had not yet arrived. This is Jiang Xiu's home? Seeing Jiang Yuan, Cheng Hanlin was a little stunned. How was this a home? It was simply a holiday manor. The classical atmosphere was overwhelming, showing the historical heritage, and at the same time, there was an unattainable king's aura. What do you mean Jiang Xiu's home? This is our daughter's home. Jiang Xiu and Cheng Lingsu were married. Wasn't this their son's home? If their daughter gave birth to a son or a daughter for Jiang Xiu in the future, then it would be stable. Even 1 billion yuan can't buy this manor. Cheng Hanlin used to be in the real estate business, so he knew the value of this manor. In fact, it was absolutely priceless. But after they entered, they were splashed with cold water. Only the servants came to greet them. Jiang Xiu did not appear from the beginning to the end. Although they were treated with delicious food and drinks, the couple's excited hearts were completely cold. They felt Jiang Xiu's indifference. He had not let go of the past. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Jiang Yi and his wife arrived from Annan. Jiang Xiu showed up. The plane was ready, but it could not take off because of the rain. They stayed in Jiang Garden that day. The banquet was held early. Jiang Xiu did not speak. Jiang Yi also did not speak. Lin Yueling occasionally spoke a few words. Cheng Hanlin was too ashamed to speak. Only Sun Xiaohong chattered nonstop. Wang Xintong was a person who knew how to enjoy life. In this Jiang Garden, famous chefs from different countries were invited. The quality of the food and wine was not worse than a 5-star hotel. After the awkward banquet, the group went back to their rooms and waited for the next day to clear up. Cheng Hanlin stood at the railing and looked at the distant sky. He hoped that Jiang Yi, who was in the opposite attic, would come out of the balcony. He wanted to sincerely apologize to him, but he never had such an opportunity and he did not have the courage to do so. Sun Xiaohong's sigh came from beside him. I just asked the servants. There are more than 500 rooms here. It can easily accommodate more than 1,000 people. There are 27 servants alone, and this doesn't include the professionals who maintain some special houses and plants. How much money do you think Jiang Xiu has now? Even the richest man in Jiangnan can't afford such expenses, she said for a long time, but found that Cheng Hanlin was not listening at all. Hanlin, don't think about it. It's already a good start to be able to sit at the same table and eat. Why are you frowning? Cheng Hanlin sighed. You don't understand, Sun Xiaohong said. Then tell me. Cheng Hanlin wanted to say something but hesitated. Actually, what happened that year was not like what you said at the Tang family. You were wronged. Cheng Hanlin shook his head. Then what's going on? Cheng Hanlin said, Brother Yi's background is not simple. I promised not to tell anyone, and I also promised not to set foot in the capital for the rest of my life. If I go to the capital, I'm afraid. Sun Xiaohong was confused. Wait, what are you talking about? What's wrong with Brother Yi? You promised that you won't set foot in the imperial capital. I'm confused. What are you hiding? Cheng Hanlin said. That year, the one who asked me to betray Brother Yi was not the Tang family, but someone else. It was a very powerful family in the capital. The Yi family was born in that family. Then why did they ask you to harm Brother Yi? Cheng Hanlin said. I guess it's a family dispute. There is no family affection in the royal family. Chapter 208. Chung Hanlin looked at the attic in the distance. His eyes dimmed. He said, "In that era, people were very simple. Everyone was poor. You didn't think you were poor. What's more, Tang Zhengping was Brother Yi's enemy. How could I betray my brother to help an enemy?" Sun Xiaohong said. "Then how?" Chung Hanlin's eyes flashed with pain. "It was the Jiang family. It was the Jiang family who forced me. I had no choice. Even your life was in their hands. They asked me to cooperate with them to destroy Brother Yi's career." Chung Hanlin's hand tightly grasped the wooden railing. His eyes were red and his whole body trembled. "I saw it with my own eyes. At the gate of the kindergarten. A car rushed quickly towards you and Su. It was just a little bit off, otherwise." Sun Xiaohong seemed to think of something. Her eyes suddenly widened. "You mean that time?" "At that time, cars were very rare. Only leaders or big cities had cars," Chung Hanlin said. "They warned me. If I didn't do as they said next time, they would really drive the car over. I had no choice." Sun Xiaohong said. "Then why didn't you tell Brother Yi? Now you tell Jiang Xiao. Do you want to be the scapegoat for the rest of your life?" Chung Hanlin said bitterly. "No matter what, I betrayed Brother Yi and caused him to go to jail. What's more, the Jiang family is more powerful than before. It's the family of Jiang Yishan, Old Master Jiang." Sun Xiaohong covered her mouth in horror. "Old Master Jiang," Chung Hanlin said. "If I leak out what happened that year, I'm afraid we won't even be able to be poor. We'll be poor ghosts." Sun Xiaohong was really scared. She really didn't expect that there was such a huge hand behind all of this. That night, Chung Hanlin was so lazy that he stood for a long time. Unfortunately, Jiang Yi didn't come. The next day was a sunny day. Early in the morning, the crisp chirping of birds could be heard in the garden. The sun was shining brightly. Wang Xintong had prepared the earliest flight for them. Sitting on the private jet, Sun Xiaohong couldn't help but sigh. Even before he went bankrupt, his life was nothing compared to Jiang Xiao's. In the past, she hated Jiang Xiao no matter how she looked at him. Now, she liked Jiang Xiao no matter how she looked at him, even if he was so cold to her that he didn't even look at her. At this moment, countless martial artists had gathered in the imperial capital. However, the plane from Jiang City was more like dropping a bomb in the center of the storm. The news exploded and instantly spread to the whole martial arts world. Jiang Luoxia has entered the capital. The Mid-Autumn Festival was a full moon, and the final battle was held in the imperial capital. The entire Chinese martial arts world was shaken. The University of China had a long history and brilliant culture. It had produced countless famous ancestors. At this moment, Chung Lingsu was wearing a refreshing t-shirt and jeans. She had a coffee-colored windbreaker on the outside. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders. As the breeze blew, she attracted countless people's attention. She was really very attractive, especially the boys. Their eyes were fixed on her. However, Chung Lingsu was a little unhappy. The battle of life and death was about to happen. How could she be happy? Look, it's Chung Lingsu. TSK. She's really beautiful. She has no blind spots. After marriage, Chung Lingsu was even more beautiful. According to her dormitory sisters, she was nourished by love. The second Miss Chung only wanted to say, "What bullsh** T nourished by love? That's because I washed the clothes. I washed so much that I became a resentful woman. My resentful temperament was poetic and picturesque. It added a bit of literary and artistic aura." I heard that Chung Lingsu is a sugar daddy. Really? Along the way, the boys whispered to each other. Many of them showed a pained expression. Why did such a beautiful girl become a thief? No, why did she become a concubine? Come, this big brother will be your savior and help you become the main wife. Her figure is really good. Don't talk nonsense. Isn't Song Ronghao chasing her? I also heard that she's married. Chung Lingsu had only been in the school for slightly more than a month, but she had already become the talk of the town. It was not because she was very active in activities, but because of her beauty. The boys were all excited just by standing there. In Huaxia University, she was now one of the 4 new campus beauties. It was said that a third-year senior sister was pushed out. In the school forum, she even had more votes than the second and third place combined. In the eyes of the public, it seemed that Cheng Lingsu was more beautiful. However, in Jiang Xiu's eyes, Cheng Lingran was more attractive. Although the two sisters were similar, there was still a big difference. Cheng Lingran didn't have such a big influence in the capital. According to Jiang Xiu's thoughts, young boys like Cheng Lingsu more, while mature old men like Cheng Lingran more. Susu, what's up? Don't tell me you miss your husband. Walking beside her, Miao Xiaolin teased. TSK, who would miss him? Cheng Lingsu explained. Didn't I tell you? We were betrothed when we were young. I had no choice but to marry him. In fact, there are no feelings between us. I can't like him. You're just stubborn. Beside her, a northern girl who was taller than Cheng Lingsu at 1.75 meters said. If you don't like him, then why did you marry him? If it were me, I wouldn't marry him even if you put a knife to my neck. Cheng Lingsu sighed. If only it were that simple. But your husband is really too much. I haven't seen him come to school to look for you for more than 10 days. What's even more ridiculous is that he didn't even call or text you. Miao Xiaolin said. These days, Cheng Lingsu had been living and eating with them. Of course, they knew if there was any contact between them. Cheng Lingsu weakly defended herself. He's very busy. Didn't you say that he's studying in the capital? How busy can he be? He just started school. The girl said. If you ask me, we should rush to his school and directly arrest him. Cheng Lingsu was shocked. She hurriedly waved her hand. Please don't. Something big will happen. If she really did that and angered that guy, she didn't know how she would be dealt with. She didn't know how she felt about Jiang Xiu. Hatred, jealousy, unwillingness. In any case, she definitely didn't like or love him. Su. From afar, she saw a man holding a large bouquet of roses coming over. This man was elegant and handsome. It was Song Ronghao. These flowers are for you. Cheng Lingsu looked around awkwardly. There were so many people. She waved her hand and said, No, Ronghao. Don't give me any more things. It's impossible between us. Song Ronghao said, Why? We were fine. Why did you suddenly? Cheng Lingsu said. I'm the one who let you down. It was hard for a man to accept losing someone he loved, especially a proud man. He would see it as a failure. Song Ronghao said. Su, give me one last chance. I'll bring you to see a duel during the Mid-Autumn Festival. You'll see this world again, and change your way of thinking. Before Cheng Lingsu could speak, Miao Xiaolin asked. What kind of duel? Song Ronghao said. A duel between demigods. Not only was the Song family the richest in Shanghai, but they were also deeply involved in the martial arts world. When a family had wealth, they would need a corresponding force to protect them. Cheng Lingsu's eyes lit up. She excitedly asked, Do you know where the duel will be? Song Ronghao said, I heard that Donglu Mountain. I don't know the details, but I have insider information. I'll bring you there when the time comes. Outside information said that Ji Wudao was at Donglu Mountain. Donglu Mountain? Cheng Lingsu had been worried about this for the past few days. She knew that Jiang Xiu definitely wouldn't bring her there. Now she finally had a way. Ronghao, thank you. This was the first time Song Ronghao heard Cheng Lingsu say thank you. He was elated. It's nothing. It's just that I didn't expect you to know about the duel between demigods. Xiao Fangfang said. What's a duel between demigods? Song Ronghao said. How should I put it? It's a duel between top martial artists. The girl said. Mixed martial arts? Arena boxing? Miao Xiaolin said. What's there to see? Song Ronghao shook his head helplessly. How would these people know what a duel between demigods meant? The entire martial arts world in China was flocking to the capital. At this time, Jiang Xiu and his group had just returned to his house in the capital. This house wasn't small, and there was more than enough space for them to stay. Not long after they reached home, a Mercedes-Benz appeared in the villa area. A person got out of the car. He casually adjusted the collar of his suit and looked up at the villa. His face couldn't help but darken. a mere secretary of Annan City. How long has it been since he took office? He actually bought a villa here. This person was none other than Jiang Yi's second son, the person that Jiang Yi called second brother. Chapter 209. Jiang Hao got out of the car and walked inside reluctantly. Now there were a lot of troublesome things to deal with at home. The Jiang family was in a precarious situation, but he still had to come here to socialize with the abandoned son of the family. Especially, a few months ago, he had an unpleasant argument with the abandoned son on the phone. The person behind him was his secretary, holding a gift in his hand. He really did not expect that there would be such a day. However, they were brothers after all. After not seeing each other for so many years, shouldn't he bring some gifts to his brother's house? It was a newly built villa. In addition, it was originally facing the rich and powerful. The villa was very luxurious. Along the way, the standards were very high. This made Jiang Hao feel more and more uncomfortable. How could he live such a good life? They came to the front of the villa and rang the doorbell. The people in the house had just moved in. Jiang Yi was at the pond at the back door. Cheng Hanlin was about to go over. If the two of them were alone, they should be able to apologize. As for Sun Xiaohong, she was busy in the kitchen with Lin Yueling. Everything seemed to have returned to more than 10 years ago. Ding dong. The sudden sound of the doorbell made Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling's hearts tighten. If Su Su came back, she also had the key. There was no need to ring the doorbell. They had a premonition that the family had come. Unknowingly, their expressions changed. They all went to the living room. Jiang Xiu was upstairs. When he heard the commotion, he was also slightly moved. Sun Xiaohong opened the door. "Excuse me, is this Jiang Yi?" Without waiting for him to speak, Sun Xiaohong already said enthusiastically, Yes. Please come in." Jiang Hao reached out and took the gift from the secretary's hand. The secretary left. Sun Xiaohong saw this and thought in her heart, a big shot. Someone will take things for him. Jiang Hao carried the gift into the villa. When he entered, he saw Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling. "Jiang Yi, long time no see." Jiang Yi said, "Not too long ago. We just called a few months ago." At that time, he had looked at his second brother in despair, and had even knelt down on the other end of the phone. However, the other party had made up an excuse and had not even said a word of truth. In his despair, he had been worried that his son would be executed. He had been as cold and heartless as a stranger. But now this person had come bearing gifts. Jiang Yi's heart was moved, and he was also full of astonishment. The old man had awakened from his old age, and thought of his son. It didn't make sense. It was like an ordinary person fantasizing about suddenly winning the lottery. Jiang Hao smiled. "You won't blame second brother, right? You also know the old man's temper. If he doesn't pick up a better opportunity, not only will he not be able to do anything, he will be even more unlucky." "Isn't everything fine now? The sky is clear after the rain. Grandpa even asked me to call you home for the Mid-Autumn Festival." He raised the gift in his hand. "Your favorite Maotai. Tonight we brothers will catch up." Jiang Yi looked at him suspiciously. Why did his attitude change so abruptly? A few months ago, he was full of perfunctory words. His words were full of impatience. There was no brotherhood at all. Now he said that he wanted to catch up with him? "Let's sit in the backyard." Jiang Yi's original intention was not to let Sun Xiaohong, a talkative person, hear too much. However, when he walked to the pond in the backyard, Cheng Hanlin was there. Hearing the footsteps, Cheng Hanlin turned his head. When he saw Jiang Hao, his eyes froze and his face suddenly changed. When Jiang Hao saw Cheng Hanlin, his expression also froze. "Brother E, there are guests. I'm going in. You guys talk." Cheng Hanlin was very nervous. He was so nervous that his face was blue and his hands were shaking. He came to the capital with a trace of luck. He did not expect that the other party would come to find him so soon. At the moment when he passed by, Jiang Hao's terrifying gaze swept over, making Cheng Hanlin's whole body cold to the bone, and he almost suffocated. When he entered the house, Cheng Hanlin's face was completely pale. "Sister-in-law, there are guests at home. Let's go find Su Su and Ran Ran first." Speaking of which, We haven't seen our daughter for a while." As he said that, he pulled Sun Xiaohong and walked out. "Okay, remember to come back early." After leaving the villa, Sun Xiaohong noticed that something was wrong. "What happened?" Cheng Hanlin said nervously. "I saw him just now." "Oh," Cheng Hanlin said. "The person who forced me back then." "You mean?" Sun Xiaohong's face also changed, and she said involuntarily, "No way." They were talking at the door, but they did not know that the sound was going up. Jiang Xiu happened to be standing on the balcony, and his amazing hearing was so good that he heard it clearly. Sun Xiaohong said, "More than 10 years have passed. Could you have mistaken him for someone else?" Cheng Hanlin said, "When he forced me to betray Brother Yi, the look in his eyes was exactly the same as when he saw me just now. It was as if I was being stared at by a wolf. Even if he turned into ashes, I would still recognize him." Sun Xiaohong was scared. He won't do anything to you, right?" Cheng Hanlin recalled the terrifying look just now, and his face was full of worry. "Don't think about it first. Let's go find our daughter first." After saying that, the couple left in a hurry. Jiang Xiu's eyes were full of shock. Could it be that his father's imprisonment was planned by the Jiang family? When the couple walked to the intersection of the community, the Audi car that carried Jiang Hao also moved. The driver in the car put down the phone in his hand and drove slowly to follow the couple. Cheng Hanlin and his wife reached out to hail a taxi. "Sir, to Huaguo University." The taxi drove all the way to Huaguo University, and the black Audi followed closely behind. The driver in the car was very calm, as if he was just taking a stroll. In 2008, the capital was still not a congested city, so it was still possible to drive happily. The villa area was not far from Huaguo University, and it was only a 20-minute drive. After the panic just now, Cheng Hanlin and his wife slowly calmed down. However, Cheng Hanlin's eyelids began to twitch inexplicably. Look at Su Su. When she received the call from her parents, Cheng Lingsu was overjoyed. This year, because she still had to go to school, she could not return to Jiangnan. She thought that she would only be able to spend it with her sister. She did not expect her parents to be so nice, coming to the capital to celebrate the festival with them, and even spending it with Jiang Xiu and his family. "Sir, stop the car." The couple had not seen their daughter for a long time. In the past, they did not miss their 2 daughters, but ever since they went bankrupt, family ties became especially precious. In addition, Su Su had experienced the most important event in her life, marriage. Although the wedding had not been held, they already felt that their daughter had married, and it was to Jiang Xiu. Now Cheng Lingsu was a treasure in their eyes. "Dad, Mom." Cheng Lingsu raised her arm and waved happily at them. She had a lot to say in her heart, because she was married, and she felt quite wronged in her in-laws' house. The driver in the black Audi rolled down the window and flicked the cigarette out of the window. His eyes became cold. Suddenly, Cheng Lingsu's eyes widened in horror. She saw that the Audi, which was moving at a leisurely pace, suddenly seemed to have lost control. Its speed reached 134 kilometers per hour in an instant, and with a terrifying roar of the engine, it was ruthless, cold-blooded, and powerless, rushing towards Cheng Hanlin and his wife. "Dad, Mom." Cheng Lingsu's heart seemed to be about to burst out of her chest violently. She screamed in horror, and her face turned pale. She had never been so scared since she was a child. Cheng Hanlin and Sun Xiaohong did not know that the scythe of death was falling towards them. Their faces were full of joy at seeing their daughter. "No!" Cheng Lingsu screamed hysterically. But the cold mechanical car was so ruthless. Instead of slowing down, it sped up and became fiercer. Cheng Hanlin and Sun Xiaohong finally realized that something was wrong. They turned their heads and saw the car rushing towards them. Suddenly, they were scared out of their wits and instinctively ran to the side. But the car, like an ancient beast, chased them to the flower bed. At this moment, Cheng Hanlin and his wife realized that this was not a car out of control, but a deliberate murder. Just like the scare in the past, last time, it was a warning, but this time, it was to kill them. At the critical moment, Cheng Hanlin reached out and pushed Sun Xiaohong away. Cheng Hanlin himself was knocked out, and fell more than 10 meters away, lying motionless in a pool of blood. "Dad!" "Hanlin!" The mother and daughter broke down and ran towards Chen Hanlin, who was lying in a pool of blood in the distance. Chapter 210. Seeing the motionless body and the blood flowing from it, Sun Xiaohong's legs went weak, and she fell to the ground. When Cheng Lingsu ran to her father's side, her heart completely collapsed. She knelt there and cried helplessly, "Help, help me." At this moment, the entire road was in chaos. Sun Xiaohong crawled over on the ground and sobbed, "Hanlin, Hanlin, don't leave me. I beg you, don't leave me, mother and daughter." "Dad, Dad." Cheng Lingsu's clothes were stained with glaring blood. She wanted to reach out and hug her father, but she still had some common sense. She knew that she could not move at this time. Wait for the doctor. But at this moment, Cheng Hanlin was motionless. She was afraid that he was in danger. Most people who were hit by a car and screaming on the ground would be fine. The most frightening thing was that he was motionless. Moreover, the collision just now was too fierce. The possibility of survival was very small. Cheng Lingsu took out her phone with trembling hands. She did not call 120. At this moment, she thought of Jiang Xiao. "Hello Jiang Xiao, sob, my dad was hit by a car." Jiang Xiao. "Oh, is there anything else?" Hearing Jiang Xiao's indifferent response, Cheng Lingsu's heart collapsed again. "Jiang Xiao, he is my dad, your father-in-law. He is about to die, and you have such an attitude. Are you still human?" Jiang Xiao was silent for a moment. "Where is he?" Cheng Lingsu said. "At the school gate." Jiang Xiao thought of the car that followed them. It was Jiang Hao's car. It seemed that Cheng Hanlin was not lying when he said that he was at the gate. The Jiang family might be the real culprits behind his father's imprisonment. They wanted to kill Cheng Hanlin to silence him. Is he still alive? Cheng Lingsu cried. "I don't know. He's not moving anymore." Jiang Xiao said, "I'll come over." This time, Jiang Xiao came very quickly. His whole body turned into a black shadow, leaping and jumping on the roof. Cheng Lingsu didn't know how he came. Not long after, Jiang Xiao had already appeared in the distance, walking over from the crowd without any hindrance. "Jiang Xiao, save my father." The siren sounded in the distance. It should be the ambulance. Unfortunately, the traffic was blocked at the intersection because of the accident here. The ambulance might not be able to drive over. Jiang Xiao squatted down beside Cheng Hanlin. He was still dead, and his heart had stopped beating. His fingers formed a scissor gesture, and he pressed Cheng Hanlin's lower eyelid and pulled it down. His spirit hasn't dispersed. He bit his finger and pointed at Cheng Hanlin's glabella. Then he cut down, and there was a little blood on it. Then he murmured. As he kept chanting, the blood on Chen Hanlin's glabella slowly merged into his body. "He won't die." Cheng Lingsu was skeptical, but the blood on Chen Hanlin's forehead looked very magical. Jiang Xiao said, "People's life and death are determined by their spirit. Of course, he won't die if his spirit doesn't disperse." Cheng Lingsu didn't understand at all, but she believed what Jiang Xiao said. At this time, she could only believe in Jiang Xiao. Sun Xiaohong was dumbfounded. She seemed to have lost her soul. "Hanlin, don't leave us." "No, don't leave us." "What will we do if you leave?" The ambulance in the distance finally arrived. The medical staff immediately carried Cheng Hanlin into the ambulance. Sun Xiaohong and Cheng Lingsu also wanted to get into the ambulance, but after squeezing in 2 doctors, 2 nurses and oxygen equipment, they couldn't sit still. Sun Xiaohong rushed to say, I'll go." The ambulance rushed to the hospital. Jiang Xiao stopped a taxi and went to the hospital with Cheng Lingsu. On the way, Cheng Lingsu was so frightened that she couldn't calm down. Suddenly, she thought of something and took out her phone to call Cheng Lingran. She broke down and cried, "Sister, Dad was hit by a car. He's sent to the hospital for emergency treatment." Cheng Lingran felt like she was electrocuted. She even dropped her phone. When they arrived at the hospital, Cheng Hanlin had already been sent to the emergency room. Cheng Lingran also quickly arrived. The 3 of them hugged each other and cried. Cheng Hanlin was their pillar. Without him, they didn't know what to do. Not long after, Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling also arrived. How did this happen? Lin Yueling looked at the 3 crying mother and daughter. Her eyes also turned red. At this time, the doctor pushed the door open. The three of them hurriedly surrounded him. The doctor said, "The patient is really lucky. Most of his bones were broken, but he didn't die. Now his life is saved. He has to undergo a second surgery. However, you have to be mentally prepared. He will basically spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair." The three of them couldn't stop their eyes from watering. This was better than they had imagined. "Doctor, is there no other way?" The doctor said, "This is already the best result." When Jiang Yi heard this news, he fell silent. He stood by the bed and smoked. Although he hated Cheng Hanlin, he couldn't hate him now that he had ended up like this. He only felt pity. Compared to him being in prison for more than 10 years, being crippled for life was 10,000 times more painful. Jiang Xiu was slightly moved. This seemed to be fate. In his previous life, the one who was crippled by a car was his father. Now the one who was hit by a car was Cheng Hanlin. Jiang Xiu came and called Sun Xiaohong to the side. He asked, "Someone wants to kill you?" Sun Xiaohong's expression changed, but she hurriedly shook her head. She didn't dare to say that this time it was Cheng Hanlin. Next time, it would be her and her 2 daughters. "Today the one who came?" Sun Xiaohong said involuntarily. "How did you know?" Jiang Xiu said, "Why does he want to kill you?" "It has something to do with my father being in prison for more than 10 years. Does he want to silence you?" Since Jiang Xiu had guessed this, Sun Xiaohong couldn't hide it anymore. Sun Xiaohong's tears dripped down. She nodded and said, "Jiang Xiu, it wasn't your uncle Cheng who harmed your father. No, he was forced. It was the person who came to your house today. 12 years ago he found your uncle Cheng and wanted to cooperate with him to destroy your father's future." Jiang Xiu's face darkened. He had already realized when Cheng Hanlin was hit by a car. Now that he heard Sun Xiaohong's answer, he understood. "Please forgive your uncle Cheng. At that time, he threatened us with our lives. He really had no choice. 12 years ago, Su and I were almost killed." The surgery lasted for 9 hours. 4 chief surgeons were changed. Then, Cheng Hanlin was sent to the ICU. Sun Xiaohong stayed by his bed. The Cheng family sisters were busy at the side. Tomorrow was the Mid-Autumn Festival. The family was supposed to have a happy reunion dinner. Moreover, this was the first time the 2 families met after Cheng Lingsu and Jiang Xiu got married. In the end, something like this happened. The next day, Cheng Hanlin woke up at 10 o'clock in the afternoon. "Hanlin, you're awake?" Cheng Hanlin said with difficulty. I'm not dead yet." "Bah, don't say inauspicious things." The 2 sisters also squeezed over and tried to smile. Cheng Lingran said, "Dad, it's okay. Don't think too much. Rest well. Our whole family supports you." Cheng Lingsu also said with a smile, "Yes, the doctor said that what you need most is the fighting spirit to stand up from the bed again. No, we have to leave the capital quickly. He won't let us go." The Cheng family sisters' expressions changed greatly when they heard this. Cheng Lingran said, "Dad, what are you talking about? Is it really not an accident? Is it a murder?" The police had come and they thought it was a premeditated murder. Only then did Cheng Hanlin realize that he had spilled the beans. Sun Xiaohong said, "Don't hide it." Sun Xiaohong then told the whole story in detail. There were some things she didn't know, so Cheng Hanlin filled in the story. Cheng Lingsu listened and said, "So the people who really hurt Uncle Jiang are his family members. And they want to silence you and Mom?" Sun Xiaohong said, Su, don't be agitated. Jiang Xiu said that he will handle this matter." At this moment, Jiang Xiu and his family were setting off from home. The Jiang family's car had arrived to pick them up for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Jiang Yi and his wife had actually already planned this matter in their hearts when they came to the capital. In addition, Jiang Yi had visited them yesterday, so this matter was even more logical. None of the 3 people in the car spoke. This Mid-Autumn Festival reunion dinner was not delicious. If Jiang Yi wanted to go back, Jiang Xiu would have to abandon Cheng Lingsu and marry the girl from the Nangong family. The car was not going to Jiang Yishan's home, but to the famous summer palace on Donglu Mountain. "We're here." The car stopped at a manor inside. Chapter 211. The Mid-Autumn Festival was a family banquet. It was supposed to be held at Jiang Luoxia's residence, but today was special. It was not only the Mid-Autumn Festival, but also the day of the battle between Ji Wudao and Ji Wudao. The location was at Donglu Mountain. Jiang Yishan had specially chosen this place so that everyone could see how Ji Wudao would kill Jiang Luoxia. He wanted to show off the strength of the Jiang family and save the Jiang family. Jiang Yi was the first to get out of the car. Looking at the place where he played when he was young, he didn't feel happy at all. He only sighed. In the blink of an eye, he was almost 50 years old. His life was about to end. The young man who ran here back then would never have thought that his life would be so difficult. Lin Yueling got out of the car and held his hand. At this moment, she wanted to stand firmly by her husband's side. After 20 years of ups and downs, she didn't back down then and she definitely wouldn't back down now. Jiang Xiu followed behind them. They're here. Jiang Hao came to the door to welcome them. He led the family inside and said casually, "Eldest, third, fourth, and fifth are all here. They're inside with the old master." Jiang Yishan had 5 sons and 2 daughters, relatives, and the 3rd generation. The manor was very lively. This year's Mid-Autumn Festival of the Jiang family was destined to be different from usual. Although many people had already received the news and knew the reason, they were still quite shocked. When Jiang Yi's family appeared in the courtyard, it was so special. "You're back." Old Master Jiang sat on the old-fashioned wooden armchair, waiting for the family to come over. He said calmly, Jiang Yi also lacked a good attitude. The things that had happened more than 10 years ago, or even a few months ago, had already caused them to be strangers. He had come to see the other party repent for what he had done. Jiang Hao said, "Jiang Xiu, this is your grandfather. Call him grandfather." He knew that Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling wouldn't say anything, so he started with Jiang Xiu. "Call him grandpa?" This was the funniest joke that Jiang Xiu had ever heard in his life. He almost laughed out loud and looked at Jiang Xiu as if he was looking at an idiot. Jiang Hao was now in an awkward position. There was no one else who would treat the dignified Mr. Jiang like a child. The old master said, "It's good that you don't want it. You don't know how to teach your son." He looked at Jiang Xiu and tried his best to make himself look more peaceful. His eyes radiated kindness, and he had a teaching expression. If a person doesn't even know the most basic manners, even if he walks into society in the future, what great achievements can he make? The children of the Jiang family present were all very surprised. They had never seen the old man be so kind to his children. Even the deceased Jiang Ao was the most favored by him. He had never been like this. If it weren't for the fact that the Jiang family had suffered a blow and needed this lad to marry a girl from the Nangong family, Old Master Jiang definitely wouldn't have such a good attitude. Jiang Yi's son was really lucky. The youngest, Yueling, come and sit here. Seeing that Jiang Xiu was also about to sit down, Jiang Hao said, "Adults talk. Children go play. Jiang Zhan, take Jiang Xiu to play." A young man walked over from afar. He looked about 2 or 3 years older than Jiang Xiu. He was quite tall and said, "Let's go. I'll take you to play." Jiang Xiu couldn't help but laugh. He really treated him like a child. Lin Yueling knew Jiang Xiu's character. He was more domineering and was afraid of making things worse, so she agreed and said, "Let's go." Besides, it was still early before the banquet. She didn't want to face these people, so she stood up again. "Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I specially called your family back from Jiangnan, because I have something to discuss with you. A few days ago, I was drinking tea with your uncle Nangong. He mentioned that Ko-er was old and was about to get married. At that time, I had to be thick-skinned to talk about this marriage. I have already agreed to let the 2 children get married as soon as possible," Jiang Yishan said. His tone couldn't be used as an order as before. Sure enough, what was supposed to come finally came. Jiang Yi's face darkened. He came here with a glimmer of hope, but Jiang Yishan's words almost destroyed his last hope. Did he call our family back just to use Jiang Xiu to maintain the political marriage with the Nangong family? He said stiffly, "It's too late." "What do you mean by too late?" Jiang Yi said, "Minor Repairs is married to the girl who was engaged to him when he was a child. Her name is Cheng Lingsu. She is a very smart and well-behaved girl. Yueling and I both like her very much." As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the whole manor suddenly froze. What? The muscles in the corners of Master Jiang's eyes twitched. "You let Jiang Xiu marry someone without my permission? What do you think of my words and those of the Nangong family?" Jiang Yi said. "I didn't acknowledge this marriage at that time." Old Master Jiang was enraged. Most of his positions had been removed, and he no longer had any power. All his hopes were pinned on the support of the Nangong family. Unexpectedly, he slammed the table angrily and stood up. "Bastard!" Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling's faces stiffened. They had expected it, so they shouldn't have had any hope. The Jiang family looked at them with unkind eyes, as if they had done something wrong. Master Jiang suppressed his anger and sat back down. "Forget it. Since it's already a fact, it's useless to argue. Let them get a divorce quickly. Fortunately, she's a girl from an ordinary family. She can hide it." Jiang Yi said, "That's impossible. As parents, how can they let their son get a divorce?" He wasn't as stubborn as Lin Yueling, but how could he bear to see such a thing happen to the Chung family? Old Master Jiang said, "Is he willing to get engaged? Isn't it set by you? What's the difference between you and me? You're both making things difficult for the child." Jiang Yi pondered for a moment, and Lin Yueling was also stunned. It seemed that they weren't sure whether Jiang Xiu really liked Cheng Lingsu or not. Master Jiang said, "Let the child choose for himself. I can't make up your mind, so don't make up your mind either." Jiang Yi said, "What do you mean?" Master Jiang asked Jiang Hao, "Is the little girl from the Nangong family here?" Jiang Hao said, "She's here. She's playing tennis in the manor's tennis court. Jiang Zhan will take her there." The manor was very big. It wasn't called Summer Palace for nothing. It had everything. Not to mention the tennis court, there were even several golf courses. Jiang Zhan jumped on his mountain bike and let Jiang Xiu sit behind him. "Boy, hold on tight. Don't blame me if this mountain bike flies." Humph. The car was driving very fast. Jiang Zhan deliberately took the detours and the terrain was uneven. He didn't choose the flat road. Jiang Xiu fell for more than 10 minutes, but he found that Jiang Xiu didn't fall. "Okay, you're holding on tight enough." After passing through the off-road area, he entered the open-air sports field. Not far away, the sound of a tennis ball falling to the ground could be heard. "Do you know how to play tennis? Do you want to play a round?" Jiang Xiu said, "Sure." When playing tennis with a demigod, the ball that was sent out could even blow up a car. When he got out of the car and walked inside, Jiang Xiu saw that there weren't many people inside. There was only one field where someone was playing. Near his seat was a young girl. She was very tall and wore a white t-shirt and a white tennis skirt, revealing a pair of slender and white beautiful legs. She wore a pair of pink sneakers. As she ran, sweat dripped down, sparkling under the sun. Looking from afar, Jiang Xiu felt that she was a little familiar. He seemed to have seen this girl somewhere before. Not only did he take a few more glances, she was about to receive the ball. Her back was facing Jiang Xiu. Her buttocks were very perky, and her body was slightly pressed down. Her body swayed rhythmically left and right. When she saw the ball coming over, she immediately made a quick retreat and let out a delicate shout. "Hey!" A powerful backhand counterattack. Jiang Zhan said from the side. "Is it exciting? Do you like it?" Jiang Xiu didn't answer her. It was said that boys who exercised attracted girls, and girls who exercised also attracted boys. The aura of qi that she exuded, coupled with her tall and graceful figure, was too eye-catching. He simply couldn't take his eyes off her. A beautiful girl in tennis was simply too charming. "Come, let's go in." Jiang Xiu followed him inside. Just then, the girl heard footsteps and couldn't help but turn around. When she turned her head, Jiang Xiu saw her clearly. It was actually Nangong Ko, whom he had met once in Jiangcheng. Chapter 212. Jiang Xiu couldn't help but think to himself, "What a coincidence. I didn't expect that I would run into an old friend here." He smiled politely as he thought to himself, "The cultivation god is always polite to girls." However, Nangong Ko, or didn't have any expression on her face after she glanced at him, as if she had just seen a stranger. What? Jiang Xiu was surprised. Could it be that she had already forgotten? Or was she pretending not to know him? Not bad, I saved her life once in Jiang City. Now that she came to the capital, she turned her back on me? Jiang Zhan patted Jiang Xiu on the shoulder and came over. What do you think? Do you want to get to know her? Jiang Xiu couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Since she had already pretended that she didn't know him, then there was no need for him to know her. Moreover, Jiang Xiu didn't have any intention of interacting with Nangong Ko or. Before Jiang Xiu replied, Jiang Zhan had already shouted to the girl on the other side, "Sister you." The girl on the other side stopped. She was wearing a blue and white t-shirt and a tennis skirt. She walked over with a tennis racket. "Zhan, why are you here?" Her eyes fell on Jiang Xiu beside him. "This is Jiang Zhan, the son of that family." The girl was slightly surprised. She was about 25 or 26 years old, older than them. She looked up and down at Jiang Xiu. Jiang Zhan introduced her. "She is the daughter of my third uncle, Jiang Yu." Jiang Yu asked, "Why? Do you want to play together?" Jiang Zhan. "Okay, for people can play 2 against 2. Jiang Xiu said, "I don't know how to play." Spiritual cultivation was not modest. He really didn't know her. What's more, since she pretended not to know him, he didn't want to make trouble for himself. "It's okay. Then you can play with me. Zhan, you can play with Ko or Sister you, I'll play with you." Jiang Zhan came here with a task to match the 2 girls. It was just right for them to form a team. But it seemed that this sister had other ideas. Cut the crap. Begin. In a 2 versus 2 game, tacit understanding was very important, but there was an exception, and that was the exception. Jiang Xiu was about to serve, but Nangong Ko shook her head inwardly when she saw this. His posture wasn't perfect, and he was a complete amateur. She thought to herself, who is this guy? He doesn't even know how to play, yet he still wants to join in and waste my time. "Beauty, my serve is very good." Nangong Ko rolled her eyes in disdain. "You can talk about it after you send it to the inner realm." "Bring it on." Jiang Xiu threw the ball high into the air. He had never seen a pig run, but had he not eaten pork? Wave it like on TV and then shout, "Ah, watch out." Nangong Ko was startled. She saw that Jiang Xiu didn't know how to hit the ball, but he had great strength and great speed. In her panic, when she swung the racket to block the ball had already passed through the racket and hit her body. Luckily, it was just a little bit painful, but the embarrassing thing was that this guy was too shameless, and he hit her left breast. Moreover, Nangong Ko was wearing a snow-white blouse, and there was an obvious ball mark on her left breast. The girl's pretty face couldn't help but blush, and she bit her red lips shyly. Then she heard Jiang Xiu say, "Oh beauty, are you okay? Did I hurt you there?" How dare he say that out loud? It was normal to be careless when playing tennis, but it was a bit shameless for him to say it out loud in public. What a jerk. "I'm okay." Jiang Xiu praised her and said, "Tough. Girls from the north are tough. If you were a girl from Jiangnan, you would be crying by now." Nangong Ko almost spat out blood. Why did the words she had said sound so strange? Who is tough? You are tough. Your whole family is tough. I don't even know how soft I am. Again. She secretly made up her mind that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and blood for blood. "I'll do it. My serve is very good." This time Miss Ko was well prepared. Although Jiang Xiu's movements were not standard, the ball he served was powerful and fast, so it was not easy to catch it. "Beauty, be careful." Whoosh. Seeing the ball flying over, Miss Ko felt a faint pain in the place where she had been hit last time. She couldn't help but feel nervous. She hurriedly swung her racket, but she missed the ball again. The ball accurately hit her right breast, which was a little more painful than before. The most hateful thing was that Jiang Xiu screamed, "Ah!" It was as if he was the one who had been hit. He was so shameless. Well, now there was also a ball mark on her right breast. She had been attacked on both sides, and neither of them had escaped from the devil's claws. Moreover, they were in public. It was really, really embarrassing. She was so shy that she couldn't bear it. This jerk was simply a stinky hooligan. Do you play tennis or hit people? Seeing that Nangong was at a disadvantage, Jiang Yu couldn't stand it anymore and said fiercely. Nangong bit her red lips, and it wasn't clear whether she was trying to endure the pain or her shyness. Her pretty face was flushed, and she looked quite alluring. She glared at Jiang Xiu fiercely and demanded an explanation from him. However, how could there be such a coincidence in the world? He must have done it on purpose. This guy was really shameless. Jiang Xiu said innocently. I told you that I don't know how to play tennis. Beauty, are you okay? If he didn't know how to play tennis, how could he hit it so accurately? It was obvious that he did it on purpose. However, it was not in Nangong character to admit defeat. I'm fine. Let's continue. Jiang Xiu shamelessly gave her a thumbs up again. You're good. Nangong really wanted to hit his head with the tennis racket in her hand. Jiang Yu said, if you don't know how to play tennis, I'll serve. After Jiang Yu served the ball, the game went on smoothly. Jiang Xiu was shameless, but every time he returned the ball, he rushed at Nangong. That was fine, but the most hateful thing was that he kept making weird noises. Beauty, I'm coming. Beauty, be careful. Ah. Seeing the fast ball coming towards her, Nangong didn't dare to catch it. She directly let go of the ball. It would be good if she could dodge it, so she didn't dare to hit back. However, she suddenly felt a pain in her butt. The tennis ball hit the net on the side of the court and bounced back, hitting her perky butt. Nangong bit her red lips. Bastard. Nangong was ashamed and angry. She swore that she would never play tennis with this guy again. He was so despicable and shameless. After the game, everyone sat down to rest. Jiang Zhan took Jiang Yu to buy drinks, leaving the two of them alone. Jiang Xiu said, Beauty, I didn't hit you hard just now, did I? Nangong resisted the urge to rush up and bite him. She looked at him coldly. No matter how good Miss was, she couldn't be polite to him now. She had never seen such a shameless person before. Jiang Xiu sat down opposite her. Miss Nangong, after we parted in Jiang City, you're even more beautiful than before. What? Nangong turned her head to look at Jiang Xiu and said in surprise, Jiang City? How did you know that I've been to Jiang City? You are. She looked at Jiang Xiu and suddenly felt that he was a bit familiar. Jiang Xiu said, You really forgot about me. Nangong thought to herself, I don't know such a shameless person like you. But she also felt that it was strange that she didn't meet many people in Jiang City. Suddenly, she remembered something. You are that, Jiang Xiu said. You really forgot about me. It turned out that she wasn't pretending not to know him. She had really forgotten about him. All right, that was an accident. I stopped your Ferrari and read your fortune. Before you left, you even gave me your phone number. Nangong eyes lit up. It's you. Your name is Jiang. Jiang. It was a heavy blow. It didn't feel good to be forgotten by a girl. Jiang Luoxia. Yes, yes, yes. Nangong said. It's really you. I remember that you were a nice person. Why? She wanted to ask why he had become so shameless, but she didn't have the nerve to say it. Jiang Xiu said helplessly. It was an accident. I thought. Nangong understood that he thought that she deliberately pretended not to know him. She was angry and helpless. So you deliberately bullied me. You are really a bastard. Jiang Xiu said. Let's play one more game. I'll let you hit me back. Nangong snorted, as if she was very disdainful. Suddenly her pretty face became cold. You are not allowed to dodge. Whoever dodges is a dog. After saying that, she entered the tennis court with a murderous look. Fine. Nangong hit Jiang Xiu several times fiercely. Jiang Xiu deliberately screamed miserably. Only then did Nangong vent her anger. Then, she rolled her eyes at Jiang Xiu coquettishly, and went back to her seat angrily. Didn't I tell you to call me when you came to the capital? Why didn't you call me? Otherwise, such a misunderstanding wouldn't have happened. Let me tell you, this matter is not over. You have to do something for me and repent. Jiang Xiu said. Okay, it's my fault. Take a rest first. Jiang Zhan and Jiang Yu, who had bought water, came back. Jiang Zhan said, "Water is here. Drink some water." He handed a bottle of mineral water to each of them. After making a ruckus for so long, Jiang Xiu was also thirsty. Without thinking too much, he took the water and gulped it down. After a few mouthfuls, he licked his lips and said, "Why does this water taste so weird?" Jiang Zhan's eyes were a little evasive. "Is it?" "No." Nangong Koer frowned slightly and said, "It does taste strange. Is this water expired?" She picked up the bottle and looked at it. Jiang Zhan said, "How can it be? This is Donglu Mountain. Who would be so bold? This water is specially provided by the Alps. Don't worry about it. Drink it." Jiang Xiu sneered in his heart. The water was specially provided by the Alps. However, he didn't think much about it. He drank the bottle of water in a few mouthfuls. "Let's go. We are all sweaty. Let's take a bath." As the group of people walked into the stadium, Jiang Xiu felt a bit dizzy. He felt that something was wrong, and his body started to heat up. When he turned around, he saw that Nangong Koer was looking at him, and her face was strangely red. Both of them were acting strangely. Chapter 213. When his eyes met Nangong Koer's, Jiang Xiu felt even hotter. Nangong Koer smiled at him. What a stingy and annoying boy. Seeing that he was looking at her rudely, Nangong Koer glared at him fiercely. She didn't know that her face was like a peach blossom, and her eyes were watery. Her gaze was extremely seductive. "What are you looking at?" Jiang Xiu said. "If you don't look at me, how do you know that I'm looking at you?" Nangong Koer held back her laughter. Childish. At this time, they arrived at the changing room. The men were on the left, and the women were on the right. Chung Lingsu turned on the shower, and the warm water flowed down. Nangong Koer was in the shower, and Jiang Xiu's face kept flashing through her mind. When she thought about how he used a ball to hit her private parts, the strange feeling in her heart became even stronger. Why do I keep thinking about him? Her heart was beating very fast, and her face was burning. Nangong Koer was shocked by this feeling, and she quickly turned down the water temperature to make her mind clearer. A strange dark red color slowly appeared on her snow-white skin. Her mind started to sway even more. What's going on? Nangong Koer felt that her breathing was very fast, and she was a little out of control. She quickly finished her shower and ran out. After her shower, Nangong Koer looked clean and fresh, but her hair was still wet, her face was pink, and her lips were red. When she came out, she found that Jiang Xiu had finished his shower before her, and was already sitting in the suite. "You're so fast." Jiang Xiu was drinking water, and he nodded. When he was showering, he felt that his body was very hot, and he was very impulsive. Especially when the rain fell on his body, it stimulated his skin nerves. Where are they? They should be in the lobby. After Jiang Xiu finished his water monkey, he went to open the door. He was going to go out, but he found that the door was locked. He pulled it a few times. "Why can't I open the door? Let me try." Nangong Koer came closer, and as she came closer, he smelled a charming fragrance. Her wet hair was hanging on Jiang Xiu's cheek. I really can't open it." A voice came from outside. It sounded like Jiang Zhan. "Stop pulling. The door is locked. You two stay inside and enjoy this wonderful time." What was the meaning of this? There were only two people, a man and a woman, and they even locked the door. This hotel-style suite was already a little seductive, and they still had to do this? Nangong Koer said, "Jiang Zhan, stop messing around. This isn't a joke." Jiang Zhan said, "I'm not kidding with you. It's just a matter of time. You don't know who he is, right? Then let me introduce him to you. The arrogant man next to you is Jiang Xiu, the man who was expelled by Grandpa and was engaged to you." What? Nangong Koer turned her head and looked at Jiang Xiu in confusion. "You are Jiang Xiu, aren't you that guy? That's not right. Isn't Jiang Xiu that fatty? Well, you lied to me." Jiang Xiu ignored her, knocked on the door, and said in a cold voice, "Open the door." Nangong Koer stared at Jiang Xiu. She felt that her feelings were deeply hurt by Jiang Xiao. I treated you as my friend, but you lied to me. You didn't care whether you were still locked in the room or not. I found that you are really a bad person. You knew who I was, so why didn't you tell me clearly? You even pointed to a fat and ugly classmate to disgust me. You can't say that about her. My classmate is quite talented. I really admire this guy. So I'm still wrong. I'm shallow, and I judge people by their appearance? Nangong Ko was really angry. She had a good impression of Jiang Xiao. She thought that he was quite honest, although he was a bit radical. But she didn't expect that he was such a despicable person. You can't belittle yourself like that. So you don't like me? You don't like me? It's me who doesn't like you. Nangong Ko said. Our marriage is just a political marriage. It doesn't matter if you don't like me or not. Jiang Xiao could tell that she was really angry, so he explained. I didn't mean that. Look at you. You are as beautiful as a flower. You have the appearance of a devil and the body of an angel. He accidentally said the wrong thing, so he quickly corrected himself. No, it's the appearance of an angel and the body of a devil. Nangong Ko didn't accept this hypocritical compliment at all. She had seen through this person, so she said, Come on, you're just a duck with a mouth of half a catty. Jiang Xiao's face was full of anger. Who are you calling a duck? Even though Nangong Ko was really angry, she couldn't help but want to laugh. She just said it casually, and she really didn't mean it that way. But this guy actually took it for granted. Who could he blame? Please don't humiliate a duck. Jiang Xiao said with a sad face. Don't insult me like that. Nangong Ko said. You deserve it. I've never seen anyone more annoying than you. Jiang Xiao said. Well, Nangong Ko, I didn't do it properly. Although I hid my identity at that time, it was to avoid embarrassing us. Also, what I said at school was true. You don't have to marry me. You can marry whoever you like in the future. I, Jiang Xiao, will definitely do what I said. Nangong Ko looked at him suspiciously. Really? Can you withstand the pressure from the Jiang family? Jiang Xiao smiled faintly. The Jiang family? Is there any pressure? They're just a bunch of useless people. Nangong Ko couldn't help but want to roll her eyes. It was the Jiang family, and old Master Jiang was famous for being rude and unreasonable, so she said, You really know how to brag. You said you were so powerful, but you're still locked in this room and can't get out. Speaking of this matter, Jiang Xiao really felt that it was very childish. How could they lock them up in the same room? Is this useful? If they make us angry, we'll just kick the door open. Hey, do you feel hot? It's quite hot. Jiang Xiao's eyes became hot, and their eyes met again. This time, a kind of primitive desire touched their hot nerves. In this enclosed room, it was very easy for a man and a woman to misbehave. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Jiang Xiao stared at Nangong Ko's face passionately. At this moment, Nangong Ko's face became even more charming, while her eyes became hazy. When she looked at Jiang Xiao's face, she discovered that his face was as firm as marble, and she couldn't help but reach out to caress it. Jiang Xiao was a little nervous. What's wrong with you? I am fine, Jiang Xiao said in his heart. If you touch my face, then I'll touch it back. So he reached out his hand. Nangong Ko was so nervous that she almost suffocated, and she couldn't help but close her eyes. When she felt Jiang Xiao's fingers gently caressing her face, she couldn't help but tremble and fall. Jiang Xiao had already reached out to support her. Her hair brushed past Jiang Xiao's face, making it itchy. He said, I'll ask them to open the door. No, Nangong Ko said. I feel like I'm floating. She didn't float at all. Instead, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Jiang Xiao with her red lips. Then you want to be a hooligan? When it comes to hooliganism, our spiritual cultivation has never been afraid of anyone. If you kiss me, I'll kiss you back 10 times or 100 times. Our spiritual cultivation has always been so cruel. We can't. Yes, we can't, Jiang Xiao said in his heart. Why don't you say no to me? Why do you keep flirting with me? We can't do this. I'm not a good girl. When the golden wind and the jade dew met, it was better than countless people in the world. At this moment, Jiang Zhan was eavesdropping outside the room. At first, he thought that Nangong Ko was playing tricks, but later, he had no choice but to believe her. It was so real that he couldn't help but believe her. He had been eavesdropping outside the room for half an hour. Even if she was faking it, she didn't need to act so real. He snapped his fingers. It shouldn't be a problem for me to ask for a Ferrari, right? Jiang Zhan went to report the good news happily. At this time, in the manor where the Jiang family lived, Grandpa Jiang and many other members of the Jiang family were greeting Jiang Yi and his wife on the surface, but in fact, they were waiting for the result. Seeing Jiang Zhan come back and make an okay gesture, Grandpa Jiang was overjoyed and suddenly laughed out loud. Now that the rice had become porridge, he wanted to see whether Jiang Yi's family would be responsible for it or not. Chapter 214. When Nangong Ko woke up, she was lying in Jiang Yuning's warm arms on the bed in the suite. The sunset glow seeped in through the cracks in the window, leaving a long and narrow band of light on the messy bed. She sat up abruptly in fright, but the quilt slipped off and she saw Jiang Yuning looking at her blankly and in shock. She hurriedly grabbed the quilt to cover her body, then bit her plump lips shyly and angrily. Suddenly, she reached out her hand and slapped Jiang Xiu hard in the face. "You pervert. You've ruined my life." Jiang Xiu covered his face with his hands, looking very innocent. After slapping him, Nangong Ko stared at Jiang Xiu. She didn't expect that her virginity would be taken away by him like this. Her eyes gradually turned red, and tears welled up in her eyes. She felt wronged, helpless, and resentful. She clearly remembered everything that had happened, even the details. At that time, she was in a daze and couldn't control herself, and it seemed that she was the one who took the initiative. After holding it in for a while, Jiang Xiu finally said something that made people not know whether to laugh or cry. "I've really become a duck now." Nangong Ko wasn't in the mood to joke with him at this time. She also knew that it had nothing to do with Jiang Xiu this time. She and Jiang Xiu were locked in the suite, and they had sex in a daze. This was definitely premeditated. There must be something wrong with the bottle of water, and she and Jiang Xiu were both drugged. However, what had happened, and her virginity had been ruined by Jiang Xiu. According to normal logic, Nangong Ko's virginity had been ruined by Jiang Xiu before Yuning got married, so he had to take responsibility for it. If Nangong Ko wanted to get married, Jiang Xiu had to marry her. However, it was really difficult to do this, because Jiang Xiu was already married. After a long while, Jiang Xiu said, I already have a wife." Hearing that, Nangong Ko's pretty face froze a bit, then she laughed. "Are you worried that I'll ask you to take responsibility and marry me? Jiang Xiu, right? Do you know what my biggest wish is in this life? Please don't overthink it." As she said that, she got up and tidied herself up. She felt a burning pain in her private part, and there were a lot of red spots on her white clothes. The red spots were not emotionless, and they turned into spring mud to protect her. She went into the bathroom again, and when the water from the shower came down, her mind was full of the scene that had just happened. She felt shy and that strange feeling, which made her feel helpless and desperate. What worried her more was that she didn't know if she would get pregnant because of this. When she came out, she was drying her wet hair. She had taken 2 showers before the sky turned dark, and then she saw Jiang Xiu sitting neatly in his seat. "Why haven't you left yet?" Jiang Xiu said, "According to an anonymous organization, a girl's body and mind will change a lot after her first time, and she will be anxious." "Ha," Nangong Ko smiled. "No, it won't happen. It will happen every time. If it's not with you, it will be with someone else. Judging from your cold personality, you don't seem to care about girls. You didn't stay here on purpose, did you? Do you want to pay me for your labor?" Jiang Xiu said, "Labor?" This girl really dared to say such things. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door, and then the door was opened from the outside. Jiang Zhan was standing at the door with a smile. "You two must have a good day today. That's enough. There will be plenty of time in the future, and the old master is waiting to see you. Also, the dinner party is about to start." Nangong Ko's pretty face blushed, and she tucked her hair behind her ear unnaturally, revealing her earlobe. Her earlobe was turning red at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. This was really embarrassing, and she couldn't help but hate the Jiang family's despicable methods. "Let's go." Jiang Xiu walked out, but Jiang Zhan stopped him and pointed at his neck. There was a mirror on the side, and Jiang Xiu took a look at it. Nangong Ko almost collapsed, and she covered her face with her hands, leaving a purple lipstick mark on Jiang Xiu's neck. "Miss Ko is really cruel." Jiang Xiu pulled up his collar to cover it. When he walked out of the tennis club, it was already dusk. He remembered that it wasn't lunchtime when he was playing tennis, but now it was almost lunchtime. It had been a whole afternoon. "He's back. Jiang Xiu is back." The yard was suddenly noisy. When he walked in, all the people present looked at him strangely, and some girls even covered their mouths and laughed. "Well, everyone is back. Let's sit down." There were many people in the Jiang family, and several tables were set up. Those who could sit at the same table with Grandpa Jiang were the most important figures in the Jiang family. According to the rules of the Jiang family, Jiang Xiu, as the third generation of the Jiang family, was not qualified to sit at the same table. But this year, Grandpa Jiang made an exception. Grandpa Jiang said confidently, "Minor repairs. What do you want to say now? What are you going to do about the thing between you and Ko?" Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling were a little embarrassed. Jiang Xiu said, "What do you mean by that?" Grandpa Jiang said, "You stayed in the room with Ko for the whole afternoon. Don't tell me that nothing happened. As a man, you should take responsibility for what you did. Now you have only one choice, which is to go back and divorce that little girl surnamed Cheng, and marry Ko. This old man's tone and momentum were completely different from that of the day. He was commanding Jiang Xiu in a condescending tone. Jiang Xiu said, "You guys were the ones who arranged this from the beginning to the end. You drugged the water I drank." Grandpa Jiang said, "It doesn't matter whether you drugged her or she was willing to do it. It happened. Nangong Ko is not an ordinary girl. She is also a good girl. Don't try to shirk your responsibility." Jiang Yi and Lin Yueling were anxious and didn't know what to do. Although they were angry, they really didn't know how to deal with this kind of thing. Grandpa Jiang continued, "If you marry Nangong Ko, I will let your parents go back to the Jiang family. Then our family will be reunited. At that time, 3 generations will live in the same room, and you will be happy to marry the daughter of a rich family. What's wrong with that?" Jiang Xiu laughed heartily. He laughed for more than a minute without stopping. Everyone present frowned and looked at him. "Why are you laughing?" Jiang Xiu said, 12 years ago when my father committed a crime, you didn't help him and let him go to jail. Then our family was broken up. My wife lost her husband, and my son lost his father. At that time, have you ever thought that 3 generations would live in the same room and be reunited?" Grandpa Jiang's face darkened. Jiang Xiu continued, 6 months ago, I avenged my father in Ninghai and killed the people of the Tang family. At that time, Tang Jingping wanted to execute me because of Ninghai. My father called and begged for mercy. At that time, have you ever thought that 3 generations would live in the same room and be reunited? Why do you remember it now? Grandpa Jiang's face darkened, and the atmosphere in the room suddenly froze. Let me tell you why you remembered. It's because your Jiang family offended someone and met a really strong enemy. You directed a trick of the proud prince coming to Jiangnan. You thought you were the king of the world, but you acted like a jumping clown. As a result, all the influential people in Jiangnan who relied on your Jiang family were slaughtered overnight, which caused unrest in the authorities of Jiangnan and made many people dissatisfied with your Jiang family. Your position has almost been stripped clean. It's a heinous crime. Jiang Yishan, you are finished. Your Jiang family is also finished. Jiang Xiu's words were like needles stabbing into Grandpa Jiang's chest. Some members of the Jiang family who still didn't understand the situation on the sidelines were all shocked. Grandpa Jiang trembled all over, and Jiang Chang, Jiang Hao, and the other brothers also looked livid. Jiang Xiu didn't care about their expressions at all. So, your Jiang family really needs the support of the increasingly important Nangong family. In other words, you need me to save your Jiang family. Jiang Yishan, am I right? Grandpa Jiang glared at Jiang Xiu angrily. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Jiang Xiu said. Do you think I will agree? At this moment, Grandpa Jiang and all the members of the Jiang family looked at Jiang Xiu. In their eyes, there was a little bit of hope in addition to anger. Seeing this, Jiang Xiu laughed again and asked, Do you think I will? Do you think I will? Do you think my parents will? Because you know that they are too soft-hearted. They are not like you, who can even hurt your own children. He shouted. Bring him in. A man was brought in from outside the door. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.